Entering the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. It's the week off between the championship game and the Super Bowl. We still got a ton of news. We'll recap the week, a very rigged week in the NFL, according to the internet. Plus, Tim watched the entire LIV presser. We got a Cust Corner, Cust's dream home, as he has been designing it. I don't know if it's better or worse than Malibu Stacy's, but we'll see. But hey, we want to continue to provide this content. Maybe this might work as a nice little test bubble for the off season of what we might be able to do together to keep all of you around, because I know that people love hearing the three of us yell at each other, I suppose. So if you do enjoy that, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Smash the like to the channel and sub to Mayo Media Network on YouTube. And for the Super Bowl, plus XFL and USFL that are coming up, runthesims.com is where you want to be. I believe that we've made it free for the Super Bowl. So if you want to run projections, you want to run lineups, want to run props, go to runthesims.com right now, create a free account. Just all you need is your email address, which I will then steal. Either way, you get full access to all the tools that are up there. So it's a pretty decent trade-off in that regard. For XFL and USFL, there will be a premium. However, I do recommend that you get it and use it because we absolutely smashed USFL. It's the most profitable thing I've ever done in both DraftKings, sports betting, doesn't matter what it was. The projections were so good because no one was doing them, and hopefully it's that way this time around as well. And if you're looking for more listeners leagues to play in, the golf one is available, so you can hit the description and go fill that up right now for Pebble Beach. Geoff, obviously you and I have already done a show for that. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a reason that I'm doing this show from my house today. It's because I threw up about 7 times last night, and we were doing the show yesterday. That's when it was hitting me for the first time, in case I seemed a little bit off.
Yeah, that sounds like it sucks. And I know what it's about because I kids pretty much pulling all-nighters sick the other night, and I'm bound to catch that within the next 36 hours. And just before we do this, the one that wasn't home from school gets like coughed in right in her face by my sick kid who has been home. So it just, yeah, it's going to take effect. And we've been getting a snow dump. Wish I did have a heated driveway around here these days. Looking forward to all of it.
Yeah, you can get yourself a heated driveway. You just got to pony up the cash, pal.
Yeah.
I mean, what? You don't want to shovel? Why not spend 70 grand to get it all figured out?
No, and we have a great like plow guy, but sometimes I don't know. It's just sometimes I get out there anyway because there's steps. You know, I want to clear the steps.
I mean, you're a hardworking guy. I can see this. Although you must have a lot of trauma from clearing the snow, right? Because that's how you blew your knee out last year in the ice.
No, that wasn't even clearing the snow. That was just me running back into the house for something.
Okay.
That was the day before the Super Bowl. That was the day before the Super Bowl. I'll tell you, this cold weather really tightens up, Pat. But that was the day before the Super Bowl. I blew out my knee. And my wife talks about that often, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. And I've been really good at salting a lot of areas this year.
See, sometimes it takes a blown out kneecap in order to learn when to salt. Paul is putting this all together from a remote location. The coin is taking the week off because there's nothing to pick this week. I guess we are going to talk about the awards as well, but let's bring him in right now. LIV connoisseur, Tim Undercust.
Tim Undercust.
That's not my name.
But you love the LIV.
I have read everything I could possibly get my hands on about the press conference this week because I could never find a video, but I read everything imaginable. And it was just, anyway, very, very disconcerting.
Okay, well, we'll touch on that in a bit. I want to talk about the games from the weekend. I think that's where we need to start. Geoff, did you know that the NFL is rigged, but only against people who bet on the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, the NFL just has really shitty officiating, and that's, I guess, kind of been consistent, and it blew over into the game on Sunday. I've never felt the league was rigged. There's like this real big cry from the Bengals, but they forget that how could a league that rigs its game allow them to have gotten into the big game last year? If the NFL was rigged, the Bengals would never even be allowed in the Final Four.
And I thought that the league was raking everything, Tim, for the Bills. So I don't know how this worked out.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is tiring. I think that comes down to, as Geoff has said before, people like his dad have been hired as the referees
There were like
for the
three,
NFL.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There were like 3 of them out there on Sunday in that late game. No offense to these men. I'm sure they're great men and they live a life of honor, I assume. But there were at least 3 little shrunken old dudes out there working the sidelines. It was an embarrassing scene. And I don't know what the solution is.
But the do-over was an embarrassment. And, you can say it didn't affect the game. It totally affected the game. That was terrible. The ticky-tack calls that were being made in the San Francisco-Philadelphia game, when that game was close, just brutal calls being made over and over and over again against San Francisco. The officiating, which was really good, I thought, for the most part in the wild card round and for the most part in the divisional round, was just horrific in the championship games. They were bad. And so I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it was rigged. I think the Bengals were the victims of some incompetence. Do I think that was the reason they lost? No, I don't. Do I think it's our reason they lost? Didn't help. You had a quarterback who could barely run and you should have beaten and you let him off the hook. Like, you have to blame yourself in a lot of ways. You let an inferior team that Sunday beat you. The Bengals should look to themselves for first and foremost for the consequences of their action. But yeah, the officiating was brutal. And anyone who sloughs it off as, it doesn't really matter. The officiating was not, that's not true to form either. You didn't actually watch the game. If you thought those were well officiated games, I feel sorry for you.
I don't think that anyone has come out and said that it was a well officiated game.
If you don't think it mattered, it's foolish. It totally mattered. There is no argument to be made, I can see, to say that it didn't matter. Of course it mattered.
Well, the big thing that I just dwell on was the last penalty, the one that got them into much closer field goal range. Like that clearly was a penalty.
Yeah, and even though Mahomes embellished it like he was playing soccer.
I see. I don't know if you can say that. Hold on. I don't know if you can say that he embellished it or not. I mean, this is a guy that we watched the entire game, who was just limping everywhere, could barely go. Like, he used essentially everything that he had to get up to as close to full speed as he could. Like, do you think this guy's going to be able to stop on a dime with a gimpy ankle?
No, but at the same time, like, he certainly it looked like it looked like Duke University basketball a little bit. Yeah, he knew how to hit the deck. Even though it is a foul, he certainly sold it for all it was worth. And that's fine, by the way.
If you're playing in a game where every ticky-tack penalty is being called, and your idea is hit the quarterback, the most famous guy in the game, with the ball while he's already out of bounds, it's being called.
It's not smart.
And he'll do it the same way Brady did it, and he's going to get the calls, and he's 100% a penalty. Bengals fans, when I say that the refs were horrible, but I don't think it cost the Bengals the game. I think the Bengals can only blame themselves. I believe that the refs were horrible, but the Bengals had the ball. The Bengals had their chances. The Bengals didn't really execute, but then the Bengal fans who yell at me on the internet, even though I lost some money on them too, those on that Mahomes hit out of bounds play, they'll show me a blatant hold, which, like, on the screen, when you freeze frame it, that does look like a hold to me. They'll show me this blatant, how do you miss it hold in front of the ref on the kick return that sets up that drive. So I guess, like, when you freeze frame it, I can't argue with it. Feels like there's a penalty on every play in the league if refs really wanted to call them. But I stand by that the refs were horrible. I don't think the Bengals lost because of the refs.
The Bengals had their chance to go and win the game, and they didn't do it.
The refs didn't make the Bengals punt the ball up the middle.
The Bengals should have done a better.
That punt was as important, if not more. In fact, I would say that punt was actually more important than the offside penalty. They gave up more yardage.
Watching it happen, and I consider myself, I'm an annoying person to watch probably games with, because I'm like hyper focused on the clock from maybe like halfway through the first quarter. Like, I am hyper focused. The Bengals, after they got, I think it was when they used their first timeout, they should have used the timeout, but they should have burned another like 7 to 10 seconds before they called the timeout, if that makes any sense, because in case you can't keep it moving again, you want those, you still have enough time to execute what you want, but you really want to take every second off that you possibly can. And we saw it with the Bills last year. And then the punt itself was horrible, obviously, but I thought it was all managed, poorly managed for them at this down the stretch.
I think the Chiefs came out with their B- game. They should have lost. And the Bengals let them off the hook in a lot of ways.
I think we just saw sort of the proliferation of what sports betting and peak football watching has. Because, I mean, I think it's 34, 35 states, whatever it is now that sports betting is legalized in. There was a good chance, Geoff, that a lot of people who either be Bengals fans or just casual viewers of the NFL, you said 50 million people tune in. There's a lot of just, this is the first game that people have watched all year. Like you have your regulars that comprise like half the audience every single week. Then you have these other jamokes who come out and they put their $100 down on the Bengals or $5 down on the Bengals, whatever it is. And then they're just in absolute shambles because, as you pointed out, you know, they weren't watching the week 12 Jags Titans game with 75 terrible penalties. They don't know this shit happens in every week, every game.
The Lions didn't make the playoffs because of this stupid shit. We spoke about it yesterday, I think, off the air, just mucking it about, Pat. The nonsense in that Seahawks Rams game that ended the season, which controlled the Lions' postseason fate. As Paul and I were talking, guys, most people just even watch the league via red zone. So they're just seeing cool red zone touchdowns or big plays. It didn't help that I saw, a DraftKings tweet saying, I think good for them. They had, I think, a 78% handle on the Bengals. Not to play into the rigged thing. I just mean there were a lot of people that were really angry on Sunday night. I was frustrated. I was tweeting about the redo. Like, I couldn't believe we saw it. But again, in the end, after getting some fresh air, it was like, yeah, I think the Bengals lost it for themselves, although I witnessed horrible officials. And the first game might have been the worst game on the entire. How many games are played in the full season? Like the full go?
272. I mean, I still think
that might have been the worst. That might have ranked 172.
272.
That might have.
I don't know. The Jets were involved in a couple of games this year, which could easily have the argument for the worst game you've ever seen.
Well, in terms of like watching or officiating, because the Jets basically play the Jets' entire ethos and how they win games. It has to be the worst game ever.
Well, like the Jaguars game might have been that Thursday night game might have been one of the ugliest football games you've ever seen, not just this season. Although the San Francisco game was out there because Shanahan panicked and then had no plan and they gave up on the game and it was unwatchable after about 3 minutes into the third quarter. It's tough.
What do you panic? What do you?
He panicked. When I say panicked, he froze. Like you do everything
by not challenging the call.
That too.
What do you mean?
Well, not just that, but like when your quarterback can't throw it, you have to. This is not week 8 where you're like, well, we regroup and get back at it next week. Like you have absolutely zero to lose. Put in the guy who was the high school quarterback and start chucking it down the field. You have nothing.
Not even
to
McCaffrey,
lose.
Debo, Wildcat,
anything.
Like just
you have to keep having the Brock out there taking snaps when he can't throw the ball. And again, it's like he was a deer in the headlights. Like, what are you doing?
But is it easy for us to say they should do Wildcat when they've like never practiced these things? Like,
it doesn't. I don't
know.
Who cares? Who cares? You have nothing to lose. Throw that ball down there. You're right. There's a very, 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 very slim chance it's going to work. But what they did was a no chance. They had no chance to work. It's the championship game. There's no tomorrow. So like, screw it. Just take chances. What's the worst that's going to happen? If you're going to lose, if you don't do anything else, I thought that was incredibly unfortunate that like, it's a championship game and they kind of gave up and just said like, can we just, put the white flag up? That's really rough. If I were Fox, I'd be livid that my NFC championship game was basically a no contest.
Yeah, that's part of the bet. That's like the bet.
I know.
It's like making a bet.
Expect that to be the worst game of the year.
Yeah, but the people are watching. Did I make it to the end of that game? No. I'm a football obsessed freak, but at some point I had to tap out, figuring like, I don't even know, but like, do you ever expect to like change the channel in the fourth quarter of an NFC title game? No, you don't either, but ads are prepaid for. And if you had, like, I don't think anyone's not wanting to be part of that game next year from a
We
television
have some breaking
broadcast.
news here. We have breaking news.
I just saw that pop up on my screen. We have two pieces of breaking news. Let's finish off this discussion for a second.
Okay.
But I don't see what you want Shanahan to do at that point. You can say put in McCaffrey or use check and bomb the ball down the field. Jeff's right. Like, if you haven't practiced these plays, what do you have to lose? You have to lose all of the safety of the players out there. Like, I understand where you're coming from with this. They also don't want to put McCaffrey back there in a circumstance where he's just going to get pummeled or blow out his knee or something.
So you should just screw off and die then and give up on your entire
Well,
season.
I don't think you're looking at that. Like, what would you say? Like, okay, so we go in, we have Brock Purdy, he can't throw the ball. We can try to figure out ways to get Debo the ball. And they have one of the most sophisticated run games. We saw them try to do that, but eventually that's just not going to work. But it's very easy to say, oh, this guy knows how to throw a ball. Let's put him in at quarterback.
It's not easy to say.
It doesn't happen.
It's incredibly simple, but it's incredibly hard at the same time. I get that.
There's nothing simple about it, Tim.
Like it's
thinking
extremely simple, but it's also incredibly difficult.
But it's like they're playing 11 on 9. They're essentially playing the Eagles are playing defense with 11 guys versus 9 guys once the 49ers are.
It's still better than giving up in the championship game. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that makes it impossible for those, like, just even the sophisticated
runs
run
could never
game
work.
to work. It's all over. Like,
exactly. It can never work when you don't even have to worry about anyone being. Anyway, it just that left a bad taste in my mouth. I would have liked man the torpedoes. Whatever happens, sort of thing.
Hurt. Like, that sucks. That sucks for the 49ers.
And if I were a 49ers fan, to watch your season just end like that. I tweeted out who had a more devastating loss, the Niners or the Bengals. And I mean, the more I thought about it, I actually think it was more devastating for San Francisco.
No, I think
like your season's
if you polled 49ers fans and Bengals fans right now, Bengals fans will tell you that they would have preferred to lose in the way that the 49ers did. And I think the reverse would be true as well. The 49ers fans, once they gave up, once Josh Johnson turned the ball over and they went down 21-7 at half, it was over. It was very clear.
But just for your team basically to not be able to compete at all and for everything to blow up like that in a way we've kind of never seen before in a playoff game, like, that might actually be the most frustrating, agonizing way that a season can end. Worse than, teams lose on awful last-second calls and plays all the time.
Well, you don't even.
What happened to San Francisco? You never see what happened to San Francisco. Ever.
As like the poker guy would say, like, just give me a chip in a chair. Like, the 49ers didn't even have a chip in a chair.
No, exactly. it was shot. Exactly.
I don't know the breaking news. I've kind of held off from looking at it because it surprised me.
There's the minor breaking news and the big breaking news.
Yeah. Okay. So we have two things. We have one. It's being reported that DeMeco Ryans is going to be the new head coach of the Houston Texans.
Good for him. And
additionally, the Saints have agreed to trade Sean Peyton to the Broncos in exchange for a first-round pick. I didn't even know the Broncos had first-round picks.
They have Bradley Chubb from the Dolphins.
Oh, that's right.
So the Dolphins pick for Bradley Chubb goes to New Orleans, I suppose. And now Geoff has to deal with Sean Peyton in his division.
Yeah. That's good for they spent a lot of money. They circled back to that. Quarterbacks hopefully gonna not have as big of an office as Sean Peyton. But that's the way their defense played last year. If they can score 16 points or something, they'll be fine and probably make, be able to think they can contend again. I'm curious to know what the numbers are on this. Good for everybody.
I think it's actually, it's obviously, it feels like the worst job of the jobs that were available. But with the way that Peyton ran his offense with, let's be real, like the corpse of Drew Brees by the end of it. Like, isn't that kind of what we're seeing from Russell Wilson now? Like, if Russell Wilson's not going to be the mobile Russell Wilson who just buys a whole bunch of time, and now you're stuck with this like 33-year-old Russell Wilson who still has a good arm, a better arm than Drew Brees does, but similar stature. a bit more mobility than Breeze has. Not as good as Breeze was in his prime, but where they're at this point in their career, if he was able to cobble like together efficient offenses with that version of Breeze, I don't see why he can't do it with this version of Russell Wilson.
Me either. I'm still kind of shocked that he'd want this job, but okay, fair enough. I think that's
He wanted to be on
the first round pick. To me, doesn't bother me as much. One first round pick, because whatever. If for a good coach, it's probably worth it. If he is indeed bringing all his talents there and he's 100% committed, more likely than not, that'll bring more value to the team than the first rounder. But it's going to cost a ton. But Walmart doesn't care, and they can pay any amount of money that they want. So. Yeah, I mean it's intriguing. I don't know that it makes me love Denver any more than I already did or didn't going into next year. I still think that team has some real flaws, and it starts at quarterback. And if Wilson doesn't get a lot better, like they're kind of hopeless in a division which is only going to get stronger and better. One would imagine. Raiders are going to be much better next season. One would imagine. The Chargers are still incredibly talented, and the Chiefs, of course, have the Chiefs. So for Sean Peyton to walk into that. Yeah, it's tough. Tough to imagine why you'd want to walk into that. But
you're gonna see the number reported. It's not gonna be any
sure.
confusion as to.
But I mean, I think he probably could have gotten essentially that check next season from 6 other teams, right? So why pick this snake pit of a division if you don't have to? I don't know.
I two things. One, like I think Carolina would have been the most attractive job, but there is the chance that the Saints just said no.
Yeah, if I were the Saints, I would never, ever trade him within division. No.
So, I mean, you have to cross out that team. Maybe they wanted to send him to the AFC. But why do you think that the Raiders are necessarily going to be better than they were last year? They just cut their quarterback. Who made the Pro Bowl?
I just think the Raiders are well coached on the offense. They have a lot of talent. They lost a lot of games in really close, weird ways. They were a 7-10 team that probably should have been 10-7 this year. So I kind of like their product. I mean, a lot of it's going to hinge, of course, on who they get at quarterback. But I have every reason to think the Raiders are going to be better, or good reason to believe the Raiders will be better next year. It's just an incredibly tough division. And so to choose that as your place to land, I mean, maybe he just
it's not even the division. I don't think the division is the confusing part. It's that the quarterback, the lack of picks, they're really just a bit of a hamstrung situation.
Well, that's true too. There's no growth potential.
But they've probably assured him that, like, I don't know, if he wants to be there a decade, he'll get to see this through and get to do it his way. One thing that Denver does have going for it, like, yes, it's very rich owners, but I think of all these jobs, unless you're going to throw one back at me that I've blanked on, it's probably like it's a very strong organization with great tradition, a great fan base. Like it's in that sense, it was probably the best job available, and they may have even given more than his asking price. So good, I guess, for Sean Peyton.
Well, for the offensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously that's where they really struggle. What'd you say their record was if they had just scored 20 points in every game when they've been like 12-5 or something?
There's some stupid stat. I don't remember it, but it was like, holy crap. If they were just like bad, they'd have been fine.
Their entire offseason hinges on if they can find offensive linemen. That's really what it boils down to, because I don't think their skill guys are all that bad. Like having Judy and Sutton, it doesn't make you the most elite receiving game in the league, but those are two quality receivers. Tim Patrick will be back off the busted knee. You'll get Javonte Williams back off the busted knee. So you're going to have all of your guys back. But to watch those Bronco games was Russell Wilson tries to get through a 3-step drop. And he's already on his ass. So figure that part out. Your offense can look pretty good.
If Russell Wilson's just done, though, it kind of doesn't matter.
I think that we saw, I don't want to say we even saw flashes, but when you guys would talk up like Sam Darnold and be like, well, there's those ceiling plays from Sam Darnold, he's got them in there. You saw stuff from Russell Wilson, especially down the stretch. You're like, oh yeah, he kind of looks like Russell Wilson again. And it was only when he wasn't pressured. The moment he was pressured, he just crumbled.
That's fine. Look, I'm willing to defer my opinion on what this Broncos team could or couldn't look like, and Peyton should help them. But I know I just look at their roster and their team and go, are they better than any of the other teams in their division? I'm not sure.
What do you make of D'Amico Ryans to the Texans? Because that actually seemed like the worst job.
I totally disagree with.
No,
that
if you're the first pick
assessment.
in the draft, I thought Arizona's a much worse job. I would far rather have Houston.
Houston to me might be the best job. And that might be crazy, but if D'Amico Ryans has a decent relationship with the owner from when he was a player there, and the owner wasn't the owner, he was just the son of the owner, and you know, he doesn't mind this guy, then that's fine. I don't know. I think a lot of Houston, listen, this seems like there could be some idiots there, but they trusted Bill O'Brien. He made horrible trades. And then they got caught in the situation the last 2 years where their star quarterback demanded a trade less than a year after he chose to sign an extension. And then we all found out what he was up to. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people make it out to be there. And, you know, Tim will tell me if I'm using this one wrong, but it feels like the ultimate tabula rasa, like a true blank slate, draft picks, cap space, just choose your own total adventure there. And I like D'Amico Ryans. It sounds like he turned down the Bronco job or even a chance to look into that. So he had a one-track mind here. I like this one a lot, and I don't hate on the Houston situation at all.
Yeah, it's a creative job in a division which is, I wouldn't say on the upswing in any way, shape, or form. You're going to have the second pick in the draft, so presumably you'll have just about your pick of whichever quarterback you'd like, if you like a quarterback. If you don't, you can trade that pick for a bunch of picks and draft somebody else later and sign a veteran. You get to build your own staff with low expectations and a lot of money. The defense has pieces there, and we saw it on occasion. Lovey did get a lot out of that defense at times in games that they had no business being in. He kept them close, and they played decently. So, I mean, yeah, the Texans are a bad team, but if you're young and you're energetic and you have vision, I think the Texans' job is a very interesting job, and one I think D'Amico Ryans can probably succeed in. We'll see.
It's a 6-year deal.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, but whatever. Like Cliff Kingsbury signed a 6-year extension like an hour ago, and they fired him. So what does it matter?
And I saw the league office. You know, listen, I guess all the teams end up paying the bills that run the league office. I don't recall the exact numbers, but they did this very in-depth study, and they sent a report back to the league, letting them know, like, the amount of money you guys waste on buyouts and all these things, firing those coaches. It is alarming. You should do more due diligence. I think we've seen this year, it's been a slower process. I don't really know what that has to do with it, because when
slowest I ever remember, the slowest by far I ever remember.
And maybe or I know maybe they also put in parameters to maybe force it slower, so maybe the owners can have more time for these decisions to marinate, because it was almost a bite back from the league. Like, you guys complain to us, like, you're not like profits could be low or they're not what you want. Like, look how much money you just hand away in paying off these coaches, like hand over fist. But yeah, I mean, that's just maybe part of it. I like this. Like Tim, I'm very kind of bullish on Houston. I would buy, if Houston Texans were a stock in the NFL landscape, I would buy some.
Yeah, I agree with Geoff. Like, I don't expect big things from them next season, but you get a 5 or 6 year window and you have lots of draft picks and in a soft division. I don't hate it at all. I think it could be it's an interesting and fun job. I wouldn't mind it myself.
Geoff, you wouldn't mind having the Houston Texans head
coach? No,
like
if I were someone who was eligible to be an NFL head coach and I had my pick of the teams available, I think I probably would first go Carolina, but secondly would be Houston.
It's just there seems to be, and you mentioned it, that maybe Ryan's is buddies with the guy that owns the team now, who used to be the owner's son. Just feels like since he took over, there's just a lot of rot in that organization. Remember when they hired that Reverend? Is he still there?
No, the pastor is gone, but the GM, I mean, he fired coaches with one and dones back-to-back years. Like, I don't know that he knows what he's doing either. But yeah, there's a lot of. That's why you get yourself a 6-year deal. I'm coming into this situation because you promised to pay me if you fire me tomorrow for 6 years. That's sort of a security blanket that I have.
To Geoff's point, instead of treating it like a stock, treat it like a bet. So bet on D'Amico Ryans, and if he's no good, just tweet at the sports book and be like, no, I need my money back. He's not really good.
And depending on who's in charge that day, you may or may not get a complete refund.
And I don't know. So what's left now? It's just Colts and Cardinals, right?
My golfer signed an incorrect scorecard. I want my money back for first round leader.
You might actually be able to get that one.
Yeah, that one they might take pity on you.
I wouldn't.
No, I don't. I'm just well, that one's a little different. But am I missing something, or it's just Cardinals and Colts that are left?
Yeah, well, it seems like that with the Colts, it's sort of like a jury where one man is voting innocent. That's Irsay for Jeff Saturday, and everybody else is voting for somebody else. And they're just doing everything they can to break the one-man deadlock in the jury room. Like, come on, we can't have this guy. No, I want him. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Like, that seems like whether Irsay will win or whether common sense will win is what's deciding things in Indianapolis. In Arizona, like, who cares who gets that job? That's such a disaster job. Oh my goodness.
Well, according to the betting board in Arizona, Flores remains the favorite at minus.
You know what? That's a good person for that job. I like that.
I mean, Kyler Murray would probably hate it. So if you want to,
too bad. Kyler Murray needs that.
It does feel like that team needs like a taskmaster type coach, right?
Yes. And Flores has proven his success as a head coach and would be a good personality to have there. And like, Kyler's not going to play most of next year. So like, so what?
The offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, Brian Callahan, my buddy was showing me, he was 25-1 yesterday morning. Then it came out that he interviewed and he's 5-1. And I think I'm forgetting who's second on their tout board, but yeah, it seems like Brian Flores is the favorite in Arizona.
Well, it certainly isn't Kellan Moore because he's got a job.
That is true. How do you feel? Because I went and looked at it. You know, the Cowboys, the past 4 years with Kellan Moore as offensive coordinator, top 5 in EPA per play every year, top 5 in points every single year. Like, their offense really hasn't been that big of a problem.
Okay, so this was something that obviously put me back into a content vortex. And Pat, I will say that Kellan Moore is also really good in second half points and red zone. I think they were like number one in touchdown in the red zone, maybe not this past year. And in second half points, they were top 5, which were two things the Chargers really struggled in. And I'll be honest, most of the content that I have taken in is trying to figure out what happened in Dallas there, because this is a Cowboy story. And they essentially announced that they were dumping him in the middle of Championship Sunday. Like, what a news dump. And then the fact that a deal with the Chargers, there's an interview report that pretty much happens there's the report the Cowboys are moving on in the early game. Then there's a report the Chargers are interviewing him in the second quarter of the Chiefs game. And then by Monday morning, there is a contract. And because the Cowboys, you know, it's a Cowboys obsessed league, so much of the content I've taken in is sort of, you know, breaking it down from why they did it. And it does seem kind of confusing. It's an obvious upgrade for the Chargers. I mean, whether you think Kellan Moore is great or not great, it's an obvious upgrade from what Joe Lombardi certainly was, even in the ability to want to throw on first down, in the like yards per attempt that we hate on Joe Lombardi for. Joe Lombardi, Pat, do you remember how Tim told us that he'll sit in front of his big screen TV, but watch Netflix on his laptop because it's on his laptop. He doesn't know how to put it on his TV. That's essentially Joe Lombardi with Justin Herbert. He's watching the movie on his laptop in front of a 65-inch big screen, like Tim does. So hopefully Kellan Moore can get us out of this. I'm curious on the backstory, though, because this came up easy. This is almost like something the Chargers and Kellan Moore, his agent, were working under the table. When we spoke a week ago, the Chargers list of interviews was just a bunch of Rams. It was 5 Rams offensive assistants and Joe Brady. And I was like, this is weird. This seems like a lazy coach who just wants to be in his comfort zone of hiring cronies. So this seems good. I can't be upset with this. How it affects the Chargers, it has to be a positive. I've taken in a lot of content just from the Cowboy perspective of it as well, which is kind of confusing, but it seems like in Dallas, they wanted blood. And now they're going to have Mike McCarthy calling plays. So good luck to them.
That seems like a big step backwards for Dallas, by the way.
Dallas has bungled pretty much the last 4 major decisions on offense. They bungled, you could argue, the Dak negotiations. They bungled the Zeke negotiations. They bungled the trading of or the letting go of Amari Cooper. And they've kind of bungled this offensive coordinator situation. I'm not saying Kellan Moore's no angel, but Mike McCarthy was an offensive guy, and maybe he was forced to keep Kellan Moore, and they both try to keep each other happy or appease each other instead of going full throat in what they want to do. For Kellan Moore, this obviously has to be appealing, guys, because he'll have full reign. Like Lombardi had full reign, Kellan Moore will have full reign. Staley is the head coach, who's the defensive coordinator, who's got too big of an ego to relinquish defensive play calling.
And a good job he's doing of it too.
Well, that's a whole other thing. So the offensive coordinator, yeah, obviously Staley would be involved, but this is Kellan Moore. He's really like, if he's got some tricks or whatever he's got, this is totally him to do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to run it by an offensive, former offensive play calling head coach. Now, a lot of people say, look at these like clutch third downs in Dallas. It's just 4 guys running curls at the sticks. They call them Kellen Curls, apparently. I don't know whether that is McCarthy influenced or Dak influenced, but I don't know. This has to be an upgrade for the Chargers.
But McCarthy was the play caller when Rodgers won what will be his first Super Bowl. So like, it's not the end of the world.
No, but McCarthy,
but McCarthy was the final years of Green Bay when he was still calling the plays. He was absolute dog shit.
And then what happens when McCarthy leaves? Rodgers goes back to being an MVP. So that's not a good look on McCarthy.
That's fair.
Remember when McCarthy was like a super analytic sharp because apparently he bought a PFF membership and people were like, oh, he solved all of his problems. That just wasn't true.
But didn't he also lie to Jerry Jones in his introductory press conference about how much he admitted?
I remember that. Yeah.
No, I like about how much tape he actually grinded or something. And we've all lied on resumes.
There was a lot of coordinator turnover. Geoff, would you rather have Kellan Moore as your OC or Nate Hackett as your OC?
Listen, there's a prize waiting for the Jets here. And
well, this is it.
There was a prize waiting for Denver last year too. Remember?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But okay, on the floor,
but now Green Bay is saying they want to trade him.
And on the surface, I don't hate it as much as everyone does because he's still wearing that dunce cap from Denver. Maybe if you're Nathaniel Hackett, like maybe his wife or his family, just take a year off, get full money, just go away for a year, out of sight, out of mind. He jumped right into this, and there's some criticism with it. But I'm not with that because we've seen guys be the biggest dunce head coaches, and they're just great coordinators. That's what they're supposed to be. And I think Nathaniel Hackett could probably do that as well. Now, some people would argue with me how great of a coordinator he is, but yeah, this is the Jets. Apparently him and Saleh are comfortable with each other and the Jets are going for it. And if you don't think that he's going to be back with Green Bay, then Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be a New York Jet. And that should be really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not certain, but I would say if you were a betting person, the likeliest outcome at this point is that Rodgers is a Jet. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
What's your win total?
Not by DraftKings Sportsbook, by the way. They are the second favorite, plus 110 to the Jets for Aaron Rodgers. Hackers are still the favorite.
Yeah,
okay.
But
and you know what?
Packers
That's
might
fair.
be automatically eliminated, like in some scenarios.
I mean, that's fair, but the Packers are putting out, comments through their sources that they want to, they would prefer to trade him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I made a solemn promise here that if the day that the news hits the wire that Aaron Rodgers is in Gotham, I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to come on here and project 17-0. It'll help, but I'm going to be even keeled. And if Nate Hackett gets us Aaron Rodgers, I won't be upset. Rodgers is the top 4 or 5 3 quarterback in the league, so I won't be too upset if that's what it takes to bring in. And he likes Hackett, and Hackett had success with other quarterbacks. So sure, let's go with it. I hope it happens. It'd be fun. It makes the Jets a really fun story. They makes them one of the teams to beat in the AFC if they get them. Everybody's healthy, so let's go for it. Let's have some fun here.
Was Nate Hackett the OC for the Jags?
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Went to the championship game.
Was he calling plays to it? I don't know if he was or not.
Yes.
Yeah, I
He
believe that.
Then he
was.
Then he was in charge when Rodgers won an MVP. Like, I don't know. Hackett was not a very good coach as a head coach, but I don't need him to be that. I just need him to be a decent play caller. And if Rodgers is there, Rodgers is like a de facto co-offensive coordinator, and all he has to do is feed superstars like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall the ball, and the Jets will be fine.
And Rodgers can mentor Zach Wilson,
who apparently he has a weirdly good relationship with, because the Jets and Packers practice in the offseason a lot and in preseason. And and apparently for whatever reason, Rodgers is taking a shine to Zach, and Zach is so young that he's no threat to, have to immediately have the job, that Rodgers can actually mentor him a little bit, knowing that Zach is no danger to him taking the job, and that Zach has lots of time and doesn't have to rush, because it's not like anyone's beating down Zach Wilson's door to grab him if the Jets aren't starting him right away. So actually, it could end up having a double effect, where the Jets are the best team in football with Rodgers, but also set him up for some possible success after Rodgers retires.
I got to ask you, where did you read this?
Nowhere. I saw it. You saw it 2 years ago, and you saw it this year. Rodgers has made comments about Zach Wilson that are like unusually glowing for Rodgers, who's usually pretty contemptuous.
He's right, Pat. He's right. I've seen this stuff. Even Rodgers, I think, maybe even made comments on McAfee's show multiple times in the past.
I can't wait to. Well, I don't want to have to wait, but I'm going to end up having to be an avid listener of McAfee every week, just to see what he's saying about my team, to see if I can get some inside info if he goes to Gotham City, because that's it.
I hope it happens. It would be great for this show, just to let Aaron Tim will get prime time games, and
we'll max out. We're New York, and we'll have Rodgers.
Yeah.
We'll max out. And then I'm going to tell you right now, I will pick the Jets to win the Super Bowl if they get Aaron Rodgers. I will pick them. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to pick them to go 17-0, but I am going to pick them to win the Super Bowl if
that'd be 21-0.
Yeah, well, I don't expect that to happen. But am I going to
or 18-0? Sorry.
But am I going to pick them to win the Super Bowl? Absolutely, I am going to do that. Just like you did with the Chargers this year when you were crazy and excited.
Yeah,
my
team is in like the top 8 names on a tout board. I'm gonna bet them.
What would the Jets Super Bowl odds be if Rodgers is traded to New York?
They were 40-1 when DraftKings released odds. Pretty much.
So what? 25-1?
I would say probably lower than that.
You mean shorter?
Yeah, like they're currently 25-1.
The Jets are, so that may be a lot of Rodgers stuff baked in already, though.
I agree, but that's obviously, but they also don't have Rodgers, and
so maybe 20.
All the value is sucked out of these markets to begin with.
So then they go to 20.
But if he's plus 105 to go to the Jets, and he's 25-1 right now, if he officially does go to the Jets, I'm thinking 20-1.
Oh my God.
You got to be on such crack to make the Super Bowl bets now. And I've been there before. Like when the Chargers lost to the Raiders last year, I had $500 on the Chargers to win the Super Bowl 25-1 before last year's Super Bowl was played. I was so ready. I needed the crack. Now, for whatever reason, the off-season worked. Rodgers, the Chargers line dropped. Yes, it doesn't matter as a loser, but they put those odds up, Pat. It's like guys that want to bet the Masters or something like a year in advance. Like it's there if you want it. If you need that crack bad enough, we're selling it. No, I'm serious. Like the Super Bowl numbers, and you're guessing. All that being said, on the first glance, DraftKings first release of odds, because I have a screen grab of it, someone tweeted it, and I was interested because I shared it with friends. The Jets were 40. The Jets were 40 out of the gate. That was before the Packers sort of let people know they want Rodgers potentially to the Packers have let people know they don't want Aaron Rodgers 100%. Aaron Rodgers seems like this guy where it's like, if you don't want me 100%, I don't want to be here. So Pat, I'm certain that you can look at those odds and take the Packers off that list.
Well, the Packers are still 30-1 right now. And I think that people do a lot of their own personal projection onto what Aaron Rodgers is really like, when it really seems like no one really knows what he's actually like.
And Aaron Rodgers versus the New York media for 2 years would be amazing. His vague,
but he might like. There's a weird part of Rodgers who he might just be like Kyle's dad from South Park. He might be like a professional troll.
Yeah, he might like it, and they might like him. And he'll have his guys, and he uses McAfee, and he gets his side out there. So he's no fool. He is no fool. Even when he, tells you what some people call misinformation, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's very calculated.
Eighth favorite to win the Super Bowl already. So it's not at all a ridiculous assumption to say that what the Rams did and what the Buccaneers did, the Jets are going to do.
Tim,
in fact, you have more work cut out for you to make the case against that in some ways.
Did you watch an AFC playoff game this year and think if the Jets had Rodgers, we could have won that game?
And healthy, not just Rodgers. The Jets actually have to be healthy. They have to have all their offensive line's got to be healthy. Breece Hall's got to be there. Our team at full strength with Rodgers is as good as any of those teams as it stands.
As good as. Division will be fun. That'll be.
Oh yeah, well I can't wait.
That'll be awesome. And I think ESPN was reporting that the Dolphins have kind of publicly said they're not going after Brady.
Great,
yeah, because the Dolphins are actually going after Rodgers.
I would love
how upset would you be?
We're getting we're either getting Sunday night or Monday night in week 1 if Rodgers goes to the Jets.
How upset are you going to be if Rodgers is traded to the Dolphins?
I won't be upset because I haven't got my heart set on this.
Don't have the draft. The Dolphins don't have the draft picks.
No, like I don't know why. He'd go there because he has Tyreek Hill and Waddle's okay, and they have pieces. Obviously, that would make sense.
I hate that I'm going to be the one addressing this, so I wish maybe I'll just leave it to Pat to give his comment on it because people think it's unfair for me to say something. I feel so bad for the Dolphins. I feel so bad for their fans. They just feel like they're in such a bad, an unfair spot. Like you have to make a decision on Tua. The team is really talented. If they actually hired Vic Fangio and made him the highest paid coordinator in the league, an owner that does that is not messing around. And can you trust that Tua will be durable to play 17 games, to be healthy at this time of the year? If not, what sort of backup quarterback do they have to bring in there? Like plug your ears, but like an Andy Dalton type guy that if he's got to start more than a handful of games, you can hold water. I don't know.
I know the guy. I know the guy they should sign for backup
and do this again. Like
I think Teddy Bridgewater looked really good, and they should keep him.
No, he looked horrible.
Oh no, he was great. He should definitely be their backup. That's what I believe.
Can I give you the name that should be the Dolphins' backup if they're going to roll with Tua?
Yeah,
Jameis.
Love it.
Great.
Sorry. Tua's out. Here's our new offense. Bombs away.
Great. So Sauce picks off 4 balls in that game. Great.
Sure, that's fine. He might throw 5 touchdowns. Though.
I'm telling you, if we get Rodgers, we are getting one of the first 2 primetime games, and I think it's almost in a certainty. It would be a Sunday or Monday nighter with Rodgers in New York. The excitement level for that game and that team would be at such a fever pitch.
What if you got the first Thursday nighter?
Well, we can't because that's the championship game, and we're not.
No, first.
Oh,
Amazon
you mean like
Prime.
the Amazon?
Yeah,
I could see it, but honestly, the only way that would happen is if they gave us America's Game of the Week on the Sunday, and I don't think. I just think Jets Dolphins or Jets Bills makes a lot of sense for the opening Monday or Sunday nighter if they get
Patriots.
No, the Patriots don't have the same interest, right? They don't make the same kind of good game. I think you underestimate just what a story the Jets will be with Rodgers until.
Why do I underestimate?
Because I don't say you personally, Geoff. I think people. I think
everyone knows exactly.
Don't quite as big as they think it's going to be. Multiply it by 6.
Credit. You're going to be looking. See, I told you, Gotham is a preeminent AFC market.
They're going to max us out. Max us out. Put us on Thanksgiving. Everything. No, I don't want Thanksgiving. I want that Black Friday game on Amazon. Give me that.
That's the game that you want?
I bet you that'll have just as high a ratings as any other Thanksgiving
But
game.
forget, do you want Rodgers?
Really,
or
you think the
Lamar?
game on Amazon is going to have as much ratings pull as
No,
games
I
on
suppose.
network TV?
Well, only because it would be shown in New York on real TV. And
So you out on Lamar?
no, they
Yeah,
got
Lamar's dead.
No,
Lamar sucks now, according to Tim. It's all
no, but I
Rodgers.
kind of think Lamar's off the table from the way the Ravens are talking. Like things have done a complete 180 there. Look, I want Lamar. I'd be thrilled with Lamar. If we don't get Rodgers, I'm not going to cry about it. Like, okay, who's next? Like, as much as I think Rodgers would be great, I'm not going to be. I refuse to be crazy here. I refuse to
Okay,
go.
well,
overboard.
hold on. What's crazy and what's realistic? You just said if they got Rodgers, you were picking them to win the Super Bowl. So if
Yeah,
they don't get Rodgers,
and that's not crazy.
sounds like you might be pretty disappointed.
No, I mean, it won't be. I won't be delighted about it, but I won't be crestfallen. I won't be crying. I won't be saying, "Oh, I never wanted him anyway." I would just move along. Like then it wasn't meant to be. I'm a big boy when it comes to these sorts of things.
That I mean, your track record has most definitely proven that. Geoff, I asked Tim earlier about how the Ravens get better next year. It's they trade for Aaron Rodgers now, and he becomes their quarterback, and the Jets end up paying like Daniel Jones 5 years, $200 million or something.
Daniel Jones isn't leaving the Giants.
I can't imagine he would leave the Giants. I'd be shocked at this point.
I weirdly think that the Giants would be better if they let Daniel Jones let him walk and sign Derek Carr in 2 years or something.
I don't know. But
You think Daniel Jones is better than Derek Carr?
I think they're pretty close to each other. I'm
Yeah,
on Cam's side
don't.
of things. I think he's close to top 10. I'm with Cam.
Cam admitted he was the 17th best quarterback in football.
Yeah, but he keeps coming back to it because he's right. Like intuitively speaking, like there's something about Daniel Jones that like makes me think, yeah, he's not that bad.
And the Brady 49er market is crashing. It was 5-1 yesterday. It's now like plus 225.
Well, it's like musical chairs. There's so many seats for Brady to sit in. And like Tampa and San Francisco are really the only two that make any like real sense. So
Vegas.
yeah, okay. Vegas too for the connection with McDaniels and some of the
San
receivers.
Fran makes too much sense.
But San Francisco being his hometown team, blah, 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 just makes a lot more sense to me than Oakland or staying in Tampa.
A lot of the Tampa decision, a lot of the people say finalized was like location and being close to home. He's blown up the family. He can move anywhere he wants. So he can go be with his mom, who is been unwell, which is no secret. Ride it out there and be 17 years old again out in San Francisco. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, McCaffrey, all under contract.
Bring a championship to a team and a city that hasn't had a Super Bowl win since they scored 49 against the Chargers in 1994.
Listen, it's been harder for some of us since, but you are not wrong. It feels like it makes perfect sense. I think Sunday crystallized that this is a team that's going to be in big games, and they may as well just have a big game quarterback because they're certain to be playing in them next year. And what it means for Purdy, I don't know. Some people say Tommy John. What it means for Lance, maybe just learn under the Brady tree. Maybe Kyle Shanahan's so cool he can have some like Taysom Hill stuff for Trey Lance.
My
I don't
only
know.
concern would Shanahan be willing to basically be a backseat driver on this offense? Because you bring Brady in, Brady's going to have a lot of say on everything. And Brady is going to make a lot of, people who like to tout Shanahan as the most creative and intelligent offensive play caller we've ever seen. Like, it's going to be Brady's offense. And they're going to have to do things Brady.
Yeah, say, let me do what Purdy did.
I don't think Brady,
same game.
Maybe Brady wants to do that sort of stuff, but I suspect he has an ego and he's going to want to install and do what he wants to do. And Shanahan's got to like adapt around him. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but he had such animosity with Arians in Tampa to the point that he forced him upstairs and off the team. Like, I don't know. I just wonder, will he be able to deal with Kyle Shanahan, who's, like McVay or others, is like the coach is really the star of the team rather than the players in some ways. So I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, you should just stay in Tampa. That's what I would do. He could win right away with them again. So
What did you guys make of Frank Reich to Carolina?
makes sense. I don't blame him for what went wrong in Indianapolis. It wasn't his fault that all his quarterbacks kept retiring on him.
It's not like he was the GM. He wasn't the one trading for these quarterbacks.
No, like I actually think he's a good coach. I have no issue with that signing. I thought it was smart. It's not flashy. I thought they'd be flashier, but I think it's a perfectly solid, shot right
He did,
down
I
the
think,
middle.
I agree. I don't hate the hiring. I don't think he's bad. I think he deserves a chance to be a two-time head coach. I will say, though, as for the quarterback selections, he probably, as even self-admitted, the Wentz thing was probably heavily his.
Sure, but that would have worked if Wentz didn't have a complete and utter meltdown in one game at the end of the year. If he just didn't throw 6 picks against the Jaguars, they make the playoffs with Wentz. So, it almost did work. I thought Reich got a bad rap, and you saw what happened after he left. That team somehow got worse. A team that Pat and I were over here pounding the table of being the worst team in football when they were 3-3. So, yeah, I have no problem with it. I still think they need a quarterback. I don't think that Darnold is the answer, but whatever.
See, I still don't see that much difference between Darnold and Daniel Jones. I really don't.
Oh, yeah. No, Darnold has never put together consecutive strings of games of good football the way Daniel Jones did this year.
Okay, take out Daniel Jones's 2 games against the Vikings this year, and how good was he?
The Vikings went 13-4. You have to count all the games.
But every quarterback who played them lit up their D. Fucking Mike White lit them up.
Mike White's good.
No, he's not.
There's
the reason they're saying you can't come back to our team.
Mike White's in the Hall of Fame.
If that's the baseline of what you're looking for, then yes, he is fantastic. Maybe Daniel Jones, also a Hall of Famer, if we're going to call Mike White a legit Hall of Famer.
No, I think that Daniel Jones has obviously succeeded in that offense, and I wouldn't be willing to rip everything up for that. So
I don't like what is different. Would you say that Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, like a top 15 quarterback? No, but what's really dissimilar between what Daboll did in New York and what Shanahan does in San Francisco?
Again, look at the statistics for this season for Daniel Jones. He put together a string of games this season that Darnold has never done, and Purdy only played 5 games. So,
when you talk about this string of great games that he had, I'm looking at it right now. What is this string? Please enlighten me.
Yeah, look at his statistics this season. His passing, all of his numbers are better than Darnold did for a season. Darnold's never put that together.
He passed for over 250 yards twice in a game this year.
Great. So in a league which is ebbing away from passing in a lot of ways, that's fine.
What?
We're seeing less and less. We've seen less passing the last couple of years than we have running. Running has increased and passing has decreased the last couple of years. The numbers show that.
But you say that like it's becoming a running league.
No, I didn't say that. It's not becoming a running league. It's just less pass happy than it used to be.
12 of 17 games of 200 yards or less for him.
And what are his numbers, though? What are his statistics?
Are we just counting wins and losses? Is that what we're saying?
No. But what's his passer rating? What is his passing percentage? What is his touchdown interception ratio? That's the stuff that matters to me.
All right. Well, passer rating really means a ton to you, does it?
I think it's an important statistic.
Why do you
think when DVOA means a ton with you, when it backs up what you think?
He had
illegitimate.
He had a good year. A year that I don't think Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold.
What I'm saying is that he might not actually be good.
I see no reason to believe that Sam Darnold. You asked me, how is he better or different from Sam Darnold? I don't think Sam Darnold can put together.
Why do you think Daniel Jones is good, but Tua isn't?
I'm not talking about Tua.
No, but I'm saying going by the stats, Tua was among league leaders in a lot.
I stopped criticizing Tua 3 months ago. If you noticed,
you mean when after you praised him and scrambled his brains?
The guy had what? No, I didn't. Yeah, Daniel Jones threw 5 picks. That's Sam Darnold on a bad Thursday night this season.
Hey, how many picks did Sam Darnold throw this year?
He played 5 games, 6 games? I don't know.
How many do you think that he threw?
3 or 4 or 5? I don't know.
I don't know if he threw any, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's impossible.
See, you say that. They reined him in. Maybe Sam Darnold all this time was just a product of bad coaching.
Are you just reading that in your Sam Darnold Reddit thread?
No, he threw 3 picks this year.
3 picks, yeah.
So he has approximately the same touchdown to interception ratio as Daniel Jones does.
He played 6 games.
Okay. Daniel Jones played 17. But so are these 17 games, what, I guess my question is, if you're the Giants and you're looking at this, why are you going to give this guy big money when it feels like you could patch together this offense again with maybe say Sam Darnold is 80% what Daniel Jones is? when you could pay Sam Darnold 10 times less money to be a bridge quarterback? Because does anyone think Daniel Jones is the long-term answer for the Giants?
But then how do the Giants get their long-term answer?
Yeah, like you just can't pick a long-term answer out of the blue.
You say that, but I mean, they could trade for Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers is probably too old for what they want to do. But if they continue to build this defense and then rebuild their offensive line, which is already markedly improved this year, that you just wait for. I mean, you say that everyone wants to play in Gotham. You got to go to New York. The Giants are a bigger franchise and more popular.
Okay, so
they have a huge cap space. Just franchise them and move on. That's what they're probably going to do.
I don't disagree that they're just going to franchise him and move on, but that doesn't solve your problem next year.
Sure, if he plays this well again next year, then yeah, give him all the money. Then he's earned it.
I mean, did he? The thing is, did he really play that well? No, he played okay.
Good enough. There's so few good quarterbacks.
Incompetent.
That's sometimes good enough.
It's really in the NFC, maybe.
Well, but
like to be
that's where they live.
Team. Like, I think we're completely glossing over the fact that the final 7.
I'm not sure there are more than how many.
The games
in the
you point to
of
Daniel Jones being good, the Giants were 3-6-1 in those games.
I'm not sure I even know how many quarterbacks are that much better than Daniel Jones in the NFC. Like is there any? I mean, I guess Cousins is better. Rodgers, if we assume Rodgers is leaving, and Brady is leaving. I don't know. You got your work cut out for you there to pick quarterbacks that are clearly better than Daniel Jones in the NFC.
Okay,
Hurts,
so
I suppose.
We can play this game. I'd rather have Dak. I would rather have Hurts. Are you fucking kidding me?
Hurts definitely. Dak,
you would rather have Daniel Jones than Dak Prescott.
I think if you put Daniel Jones on this year's Cowboys, they would have succeeded better.
Jeff, what do you think?
Dak had one good game against Tampa in the playoffs. That was a great game, but
No, I'll go with Dak over Daniel Jones.
I'd rather have Fields. I'd rather have Goff. I think that's the perfect comparison. Like Daniel Jones is sort of like Bush League Goff.
Okay, well, Goff got to a Super Bowl, so
sure.
Great.
That's why Daniel Jones is Bush League Goff.
Like none of these quarterbacks are setting the world on fire. Daniel Jones is as good as
if none of these quarterbacks are setting the world on fire, and you think it could be them or it could be Daniel Jones, that means Daniel Jones isn't any fucking good.
Well, again, anyone who thinks he's not any good is silly. No one believes that. Just franchise him, and if he plays really well again, he's earned his money. That dems the brakes. There's really no other way to do it.
You're committing to mediocrity if you're doing that.
I don't think they have any other choice.
Listen, I'm like I said, I'm good with the franchise, but this cannot be your term plan 3 years from now to have Daniel Jones as your quarterback. And maybe there could be huge egg on my face. Maybe he improves.
He played better this year, so he plays better next year. Exactly. If we see an improvement on this season, next season, then there's every reason to believe that you should.
Jeff, it just feels like this Dayball offense, as it was set up, is no different than the 49ers offense, where it's just plug and play at quarterback and let the system do its work.
That's very possible, but Daniel Jones has a lot of traits that got him drafted that high, and they started to show. So Giants are going to try to build on that.
All right. You've had very little to say on this. It seems like you don't want to be wrong. I'll be very willing to be wrong about this.
I don't love Daniel Jones, but I don't know that the Giants are in a position to do much about it. Although, to Adam Schefter's comments this week, if you think you kind of need a quarterback and you don't look into Aaron Rodgers, it's probably, some level of malpractice on your end.
Okay. Gripping insight. Awards.
Daniel Jones.
So you don't think that do you think he's a top 10 quarterback?
No. But I will say that after this year, I said I'd rather Dak than Daniel Jones. I'm not shocked if that's a completely one-sided Daniel Jones answer in a year from now. That wouldn't
I would
surprise
very
me.
much doubt that.
See, I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be shocked if in a year from now Daniel Jones is unequivocally proven to be better than Dak.
Does that mean Dak died or something?
No, it means Daniel Jones makes more builds on last year and shows his athleticism, and they let him do more, and they add more skill position receivers there, and it looks good.
Okay. Speaking of the Giants, Coach of the Year. We had the awards coming up this weekend. Obviously, we have our big bet in, Geoff, the two of us on Dayball's Coach of the Year. I think you got better odds. I have it 16-1. What do you have, 30-1?
Yeah.
I think he's actually going to win.
Yeah, as the week Tim bet Dan Campbell at plus 185. I took Dayball at 30.
And you said that Dan Campbell shouldn't even be in the running, and people got very upset with you, and he's not one of the 5 final nominations.
Okay. I thought about it, but I was more mature. Like, I could have taken a Twitter victory lap at all these people yelling at me when I said that Dan Campbell, great coach, great for football. The line should be excited. He's just not Coach of the Year. I don't care. He's not Coach of the Year. And they decide to nominate 5 guys. Dan Campbell wasn't even one of them.
He should have been one of them.
Probably.
It's funny because after watching everything that happened, like over the course of the playoffs, and obviously the playoffs doesn't factor into this, I do think that Dayball wins the idea of he did the most with the least. But I really think Sirianni should be the Coach of the Year. I really do.
I don't know why that's even funny. For sure he should. No one.
I don't think he's going to win, though.
I should go to the person who did the best coaching job. And I think Dayball did the best coaching job.
But what did Sirianni do to say that he didn't do the best job?
Sirianni's team is a lot more talented. They did win that many more games than the Giants. And look, the Giants made the play. Giants had super low expectations. And they, basically the only big change they made other than getting Thibodeau was adding Dayball. And Dayball sort of blew fresh air into the franchise. I thought, considering the lack of talent that team has compared to how it looked under Joe Judge the last 2 years, they didn't make any significant changes. And this team went 9-6-1. Like,
okay,
I gotta
say
say,
he did the most with the least. He did that, but
and he didn't just do the most. He did enough to get this team comfortably into the playoffs, where they had it clinched in the last week of the year. I think he did the best job coaching this season,
despite a roster that's probably proven. I think the math would show it is the highest WAR roster in football when you take off the quarterback position in Philadelphia, which and Mahomes is the highest WAR quarterback in football, which is one of the interesting things, and just in the early thoughts on the game, one of the fun parts about that. Am I going to penalize? I wasn't my expectations for the Eagles were clearly not this, and maybe I should have expected more. Unlike the Giants, they were a very aggressive offseason team. They got AJ Brown. They got Hassan Reddick. They even made late moves to the end, getting that safety or corner out of New Orleans, Gardner Johnson. Just incredibly aggressive team that, well, it wasn't a quarterback maneuver in the offseason that's garnered so much attention like Stafford or Brady. That was a hyper aggressive, we're going to try to win right freaking now. Even if you have questions about our team, you train for AJ Brown, you're signing Hassan Reddick. You don't do that to think you're going to lollygag. Still Sirianni for me. Yeah, they did it all year. Going to give it to him.
It's two different conversations. Dayball did the most with the least and had the biggest jump. But I'm kind of where you are. Like, if we try to reverse engineer what we were talking about with the Eagles, even like 2 weeks before the season, it was like, yeah, there's a lot of steam on the Eagles coming in. They have this easy schedule. Like, could they win the NFC East? Like, they're live to beat Dallas. And it just turned out they were by far the best team in the NFC. But the only reason that others had a chance in the NFC is because Hurts got hurt with 2 games to go.
Yeah, that's right. Although, you can make the exact same case for Shanahan, that he got almost exact same winning record and had to go through 3 quarterbacks to get there. And San Francisco had a chance to win the 1 seed on the last, week of the season if the Eagles had lost to the Giants and the Niners had won. So, Shanahan did I think Shanahan did a better job than Sirianni. I think Sirianni did a great job. Like, he'd be a deserving winner, just he wouldn't be my first or second choice.
It does feel like Shanahan is kind of boxed out of these conversations a lot of the time, only because he's been perpetually known as a good coach that kind of works against you in the voting.
It does. Historically, it's shown that to be true.
A lot like how Mahomes is going to win MVP this year, but he could have won MVP anytime in the past 3 years too. It's just he had won one already. So it's like, let's give it to someone else.
It's like, look at that meathead Vrabel winning all those games. coach of the year.
The MVP is what? I forget what the closing line was on it. Justin Jefferson was nominated. He's one of the 5 finalists for MVP, but this is Mahomes in a runaway, isn't it?
I think so. And it would have been Hurts's had Hurts stayed healthy the last couple of games of the season. But given that he didn't, Mahomes was sort of like the default choice. That's fine. I think it's a perfectly deserving MVP.
And okay, Mahomes is deserving. He is the best football player on planet Earth. I think, at least I recall, maybe all of us, but we all had him as when we did our poll before the season as number 1. But for a guy that had done what he had done, accomplished what he had accomplished, there were not questions like, is Mahomes good? But there are questions like, now what? They've lost Tyreek Hill. They've changed a lot of things there. They always, their margins are so small. Maybe this year those like crazy plays work the other way. Look how good the Raiders, the Broncos were people picking the Chargers to upend them. And nope, one by one, Chiefs just, kick us all in the ass. Here they are again.
It's kind of funny too, that versus something like baseball, where so much of your stats are factored into it. And obviously Mahomes' stats are, but it doesn't feel like that's what they give the MVP award to. It's like, well, you led the league in passing. Obviously you're going to end up winning the MVP, but Mahomes' stats this year compared to everyone else are kind of ridiculous. He threw for 5,200 yards, which was over 500 more than Justin Herbert, who was second. I don't feel like that case gets made for him at all, that he had these like crazy stat numbers. It's just, oh, he's Patrick Mahomes. He's awesome. Like that's more of the football narrative based awards that we always hear about.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine making the case against him.
We try. I mean, listen, and the NFL media, fair or unfair, probably unfair as we sit here a year from it. From the day the Bills lost that game last year, they essentially anointed Josh Allen as this season's MVP.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like from the moment that incredible game of the year thing ended, we all just put our expectations on Allen to win MVP and the Bills to go to the Super Bowl, and those they were both the favorites for probably a huge majority of the majority of the entire offseason and probably quite a large chunk of the season itself.
Allen was probably the MVP favorite. The Bills were probably the favorite, and probably deservedly so, until he took that hit against the Jets. Like the Bills season changed on that play, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. It's very unfortunate that it should be because of an injury, but it's true.
Do you think if he actually sat out a few weeks that it would have turned out differently?
Possibly, because in the end, the Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets didn't really push him for the division. I mean, I don't know.
They didn't have the bye, and they lost at home anyways. So,
well, that's a fair point.
That's a fair point. You wish that maybe they did and said, "We're comfortable. We'll make the playoffs. 7 teams get in now. We'll be fine. Let's get healthy." I'm still gobsmacked the Chargers let Herbert play that game versus Jacksonville after looking like he couldn't breathe or whatever the week before. So who knows how those decisions are made.
Defensive player of the year. Why does the defensive player of the year only have 3 nominees? How does this work?
Maybe you have to get like enough to qualify. I don't know. They're trying to do it like
have so many votes, I guess.
Pat, they are adopting the baseball format, although baseball doesn't have the award show, just in that we're now sort of going to see like first place, second place. When you do your voting, I think you're voting for more than one person, and
ranked ballot.
And it's ranked ballot. So they add up the total points. So that's something new that I think the league has been advertising, but I don't know why this one only has 3 people. Who would be the snub? Reddick? Like,
oh, I have no idea. It just seems crazy that all the rest of them have 5 nominations, except for offensive or just coordinator of assistant coach of the year and defensive player of the year. Anyway, it's Bosa, Chris Jones, and Micah Parsons.
Maybe you had to get a first place vote to get a nomination. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. That would actually make a lot of sense. Is Nick Bosa like the runaway winner of this? Wasn't he like a super favorite by the end of the year?
And Parsons was essentially the favorite from like week 3 through Nick Bosa getting supercharged down the stretch.
And Parsons stopped putting up stats like at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And Bosa, when he lost in the playoffs, didn't throw his helmet, have his coach pick up his helmet, give it back to him so he could throw it again at the end of the playoffs.
That wasn't even the most embarrassing Bosa thing on video. See, he's such an idiot. He's like, some Eagle fan in the parking lot was taunting him. And instead of Bosa, like literally just, we all know, like, dude, you're an NFL all-pro. Like, you don't need to chirp with Eagle fans. You're just there supporting your brother. Instead, he's got to like call the guy like a loser and I'm rich, bitch. Like, oh. It's so, and to the bad officiating, because I watched some content on that. What did get brought up is in that Bosa thing in the playoff game. The official was taunting Joey. The official was get away from him.
That's the worst. It's the worst. And baseball used to be the worst.
It's like a baseball
umpires just trying to get the player to antagonize him, to get him to say a magic word or to throw something on the ground. I hate when refs and umps do that.
Sorry, watching it live, I didn't know that. I was so wrapped up in 100 things as the world was caving in. But seeing that on the what Joey did is such a loser, inexcusable. But seeing the ref like goad him back to the sidelines, what a pathetic. It just adds it. It's on the reel of shitty, pathetic postseason referee bullshit that we have that we've gotten. Bosa's a free. He's going to get an extension this year, so he'll whatever the top defensive player is probably going to blow that out of the water.
Are the Jets going to win both Rookie of the Years, Tim?
One for sure. Sauce is a lock.
Yeah.
And Garrett Wilson won the AP Rookie of the Year. Now, I don't know.
He won the Pro Football Writers Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, like so that's. I don't know how, but I would be lying if I said I knew how predictive that was of this official NFL Rookie of the Year award. I think he's got in a year where the rookies were sort of down. I think he's got a strong case for it. But like if they gave it to Kenneth Walker, I wouldn't be upset about that.
See, I think because to look at it, like there's no Olave on this list, who I thought was really good. Obviously, Ken Walker is on that list. I know Dameon Pierce got shut down with like 3 games to go, but I think he was leading all rushers at running back. So I was surprised not to see him. I think there's something to Brock. Like if it's what Geoff said, and like you need first place votes to qualify, I think there's something really strange about Brock Purdy being on this list.
Yeah, I also don't know if that's true. About
no, I don't. But
but that makes sense.
In a down year for rookies, why not give it to the quarterback who didn't lose?
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was Brock Purdy, that would be weird, but it's also not the MVP. So if you give him for 6 games.
Yeah, but quarterbacks do control that. I mean, quarterbacks are obviously inflated in that market, just like the concept of, oh my God, if they play, it's like set up for them. Even in a horrible, shitty draft class, I'm certain Kenny Pickett would have been the favorite this offseason to win that award.
When did Purdy first start playing? Against the Rams?
No, against the Dolphins. He came in that game against Miami.
So he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0. Okay. In the regular season.
Yeah.
That might be enough. Like you said,
might be.
Like to look historically, Garrett Wilson's stats versus wide receivers who have won the award, like they're nowhere close to what the usual rookie. But no one had those stats this year.
No, it was really down year. I mean, I'll be a homer here, but I really think if Breece Hall had been healthy, he would have had big numbers and would have had this award locked up, but he wasn't. So
I would actually agree with you. It seemed like Breece Hall was going to win.
It seemed that way, but it's running backs and they get hurt.
Well, we're at the midway point of the show, which means it is time.
We forgot Geoff's opportunity to gloat about his Justin Jefferson bet, an offensive player of the year.
Oh, yeah. Totally skipped over that.
Geoff wants his credit. He deserves his credit.
See, Geoff doesn't need his credit as much as he needs his money.
But the reason he went hey isn't because he's not going to get his money if you don't mention it. It's because he won't get his credit if you don't mention it.
Well, I literally, like people who are close to me, my friends, if you golf with me this summer, I was so annoying about it. Like this was the thing that if we hung out this summer, I chirped you about this. Justin Jefferson, offensive player of the year. I went hard on it. That is to say, I also went hard on Justin Herbert to win MVP, but sort of if he's top 5 in next year, if I have a player on my favorite team who's top like 5, 8 on the tout board to win MVP, I'm just making that bet and I'll lose the money. But Justin Jefferson will make up for that tenfold, Pat. It's a big bet. It's dangerous.
I will pick Aaron Rodgers to win MVP if the Jets have him as well.
It's dangerous, Pat, because I'm going to win. I think the awards are Saturday night, like the night before the game or the Friday night. I'm going to win $7,500 the Friday night of the goddamn Super Bowl.
Hold on. Let's not pretend like Jalen Hurts doesn't have a chance here, because I think he's the one guy.
I'm already counting my money. Shit.
He is the one guy who could steal this, because it's very obviously Jefferson, unless you wanted to point to, because Hurts isn't going to win MVP and they want to reward Hurts somehow and they give him this award.
But they probably voted while Hurts was injured.
Maybe, which almost worked in his favor.
Some, because Minshew looked good and people said, oh, it's not in his favor.
No, Minshew looked good for a game, and then it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, game versus this amazing defense. You're right. I shouldn't be counting my money, but I am counting my money in the same way, Pat. I'm expecting to go into the Super Bowl with a stack from Offensive Player of the Year, and God willing, those books still post those anthem odds, I tell you.
Oh, you're going to spend it all on whoever's the second round leader at Pebble Beach. Let's not even third round leader.
That'll be Phoenix.
Oh, right. Sorry, Phoenix. Right. No, because the awards are not this weekend. It's next week.
And that'll be hard because that tournament, that field is so strong. It's like a super elite field that the favorites are going to be like, they're not going to be like odds that are going to attract me. And I'm probably just going to see 3 super elites at the top and be like, I'm not betting this guy at 60-1 to go hunt down these 3 players.
Hey, we already bet KH Lee and Cam Davis.
Okay. That is true. So
their odds are not going to be as deep as they were.
No. And we're not talking about live bet. Yeah. I'm going to bet the tournament. And I'm probably going to bet it hard, Pat, because I'm going to think like, oh, I have that Justin Jefferson. I have that Justin Jefferson money. I can overexpose myself to waste management. Anyway, that was way more boring than mini Cust Corner, but Tim was right. We couldn't go through the awards without me going, hey.
Which will lead us to the midway point of the show, which means it is time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I don't know why people tell me I can't have a dream home, that I should just give up on it, that I have aspirations. I should just resign myself to some small little house in suburbia and just accept that I can't have all the things that I want. You know, people are always told to chase their dreams and dream big and think big, but not me. I'm being told not to believe in these things. I can't have what I want.
Who told you that you couldn't have it?
Many people. You were on that text thread. Well,
I was. That's why I'm asking you.
You
Not a
can't
single
have
person
that.
said that you couldn't have it. What people were telling you was this costs way more than you think it does.
Well, only if you get contractors to do all the work.
So if you do all the work yourself, it will be fine?
I could do some of it.
Like what? Give us a rundown of the stuff you're going to do in your dream home to build it.
I think I could do the drywalling. I think I could do the painting. I think I could put in the crown molding. I think I could, if it's just laying bricks in a driveway, I could do that. It's one brick in another
driveway, by the way, which means you would need to do the electricity on it first.
Well, no, electricity is something I have no skill with. I would have to.
You don't have skill with this other shit either, but you're going to be doing it.
I could do that. No, but not.
When was the last time you laid brick, Tim?
Never, but I can figure it out.
Okay.
Trial and error. I can figure it out.
When was the last time you did drywall?
I've assisted with drywall.
What is that? Done. Okay, run us down on what assisting with drywall.
Drive to the store to buy the drywall sheets. To bring it into the house. Watch as they trace out the hole for where the electrical outlet is and cut it with the saw, and then put it up against the wall and screw it into the studs. I've seen it done.
So what you say? So in this experience of laying drywall, you're a delivery driver.
No, I was there and watched and assisted my uncle as he put stuff up on the walls and watched how he did it. Like, Would it take me time? Yeah, sure. But could I do the drywalling? Absolutely. Could I do the painting? Absolutely. Could I do some of the landscaping? Yeah, absolutely. Could I assist putting stuff together? Absolutely. Some of the stuff I couldn't do. I couldn't plumb. I couldn't do electricity. I get that. But, I'm just saying I could cut down on some of the costs. And I don't want that much. I want a sunroom. I want a drive-up driveway that's a circle driveway with a gate, a big gate in front of it. I want a fully stocked kitchen. I want a walk-in pantry. I want a ballroom. I want a library. I want bedrooms that have en suites. I want there to be a grand staircase. And I want there to be parquet floors. That's what I want. These are other than that, like everything else to me, the details can be all worked out. Oh, and a separate dining room. Essential to have a separate dining room.
No one has ever built that house and done the work themselves.
I don't know that that's true.
No, I mean,
some of the
who
work
can afford that house are not laying brick on their driveway.
Tim told us this was all going to be under $1 million.
I think I could do it under $1 million.
You are so stupid.
It's like a $10 million home.
Maybe you have no idea what things are. Like, what sort of appliances are in your kitchen?
Well, I'm not going to have bad appliances. I'm going to have top of the line appliances.
That's what I mean. Do you know what a top of the line stove and fridge cost?
I do.
$500-$600 probably for the stove. Another $500-$600 for the fridge.
Oh my God. Do you know what like a Sub-Zero or a fridge? It's like $10,000, $7,000.
No way.
A Mealy stove is like $15,000. I'm telling you, top of the line. You said you want it.
15,000.
Yeah, those.
Okay, well then I guess I'm not. Okay, well then maybe we're not going to do top of the line. Then maybe we're going to do middle of the line.
It's middle of the line. You said $500.
Yeah, well, just a stove that heats with an element, and that's the oven. And a stove top that, I prefer induction tops. So like just induction heat tops and, something simple to clean. Microwave that, doesn't have too many complicated buttons to confuse people.
Stainless steel? What?
Oh, yeah. Got to have stainless steel.
$500.
Yeah.
Tim, I was just looking because we're planning on we're going to redo our kitchen. We're going to get one of the double ovens so we can cook multiple things at one
I like
time.
that idea. I like that idea.
That's a good idea, right? Yeah. When I started budgeting everything out, a middle tier one of those is $10,000.
You could get seasons
$500.
You get like seasons tickets to the. I was gonna say you get season tickets to the Maple Leafs for the cost of like these ovens.
All right, well then I'll have to go middle of the road then for the ovens. That's not essential. I just want a really nice house. I mean, why shouldn't I have nice stuff?
Okay.
No one said that you can't have nice stuff, but what you've pointed out is like just the cost alone of building. Like, how big is this house? It sounds like it's 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I don't know how big things are, so that number means nothing to me.
You have a ballroom in this house.
Like, which house? Like, give us a movie, and like that's the size of the house.
He's living in the fucking house from Clue.
Yeah, I kind of like the Clue house. That's sort of what I'm imagining. Yeah, that's actually a very that's what I'm thinking is more or less the house from Clue. Oh, and I want there to be like a pool house, like Will had on Fresh Prince. Yeah. Where like there's like a separate like house outside too where guests could stay or whatever.
Yeah. It's like an on-site villa, essentially.
Yeah. Sort of, yeah. Like a little, yeah. That'd be awesome. And sometimes I would just stay there myself on my own, just like a little vacation from the norm. So I'd go stay in the pool house for a week or so.
So when you so you leave your house, your dream house, to go stay in the pool house, is what you're saying?
Occasionally.
But like so it's a pool house. You didn't even mention a pool along with this house.
Oh, well, it implied that I have an indoor swimming pool. We talked about this last week.
So it's an indoor swimming.
I've got to have an indoor swimming pool.
This house, okay, I said 20.
Somebody tweeted at me, "Oh, well, it'll be a lot of money to get rid of the humidity, and there's a lot of aeration." I was like, "Yeah, open up some windows. Problem solved."
No. See, you're right. Those indoor pools, I don't know what technology they do now, but your house just reeks of. I don't know that the word is mold. But it's like like the pool at a gym or something. Like it's this gross, maybe it's just chlorine and moisture. It's this gross odor that like permeates in an indoor pool, I feel.
So I shouldn't have a dream house. Is what you're saying.
Do you think, Geoff, that any of those people tried to open the windows to get rid of the smell, like Tim is suggesting?
Well, it's just like open the windows. That'll be effective.
I love that we're doing this because firstly, the comments loved me last week, just in terms of Tim saying that Super Bowl is football season and his comments about the Wendy's solarium. I'm sorry I sidetracked you with my Wendy's joke and you forgot to give us the rest of your dream house. So I'm happy you're doing this today.
Many are saying that you're disrespecting the tradespeople of the world by saying how easy it is to do their job with you having zero experience of doing it.
I'm not saying that it's easy. It would take me a lot longer of a time than it would take them. And I'm sure I wouldn't do as good of a job as them, but it saves me on some costs.
I know. See, here's the whole thing. You're building this dream home, which I've started to kind of do the rough estimate of how large it's going to be. You're looking at spending, even if you bought a remote property in the middle of nowhere to build this on. So realistically, the price of the land doesn't really factor in. You're probably, in terms of like just supplies and cost, if you were to do it all yourself, with the way that stuff is rated out right now, and this is before putting appliances or anything in, you're probably looking anywhere between like $3 and $5 million for what you've said.
That seems high, but I mean, prices are coming down.
That's living in the middle of effing nowhere.
And before you hire anyone to do any of this stuff.
Yeah, that's $3 to $5 million living in the middle of nowhere to build what he is just thinks he can build.
Well, I'd obviously be getting quotes.
You're trying to do a kitchen. Quote. Pat's trying to do a kitchen, doing a washroom. You know how much like a freaking shower costs now?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You've been to my kitchen. We've wanted to get our kitchen redone since the day that we moved in. And we've got a bunch of quotes on it now. We want to redo the kitchen and we want to redo the appliances and we want to move our island and just, freshen up the tabletops and all that kind of stuff. But it's a big job because you're redoing the kitchen. But it's not the biggest job in the world. What do you think the cheapest quote we got was?
$7,500?
$97,000.
$97,000?
Yes.
Wow. I'd guess 1,000 as the cheapest, but that's crazy. Yeah, Tim, it's crazy.
I'm sure a person could do that for half that price.
Well, you just thought that people would do it for 15 times less.
And you just thought the appliance, it cost you $1,000 to get a stove and a fridge.
Well, yeah.
Off Kijiji?
I really don't know what a stove costs. I don't go stove shopping.
Also, are you?
And again, this is not why. No one told you that you couldn't do this stuff. All we did was educate you on, hey, maybe this is a lot more costly than you may think it is.
Well, maybe it is, but like that doesn't mean that I should just give up on it.
No one said that you should give up on it.
Also, I can't believe that you want this home, like this dream home, and then you want to cut corners and admit that you'll do the work potentially poorly. And we know what your shoveling schedule is. Like you need a 15-minute break for 5 minutes of shoveling. I mean, buddy, I don't know. On the 7th day, you probably feel like you rest on Sundays. I don't know when you're going to do this.
Well, it would have to be a long-term project. There's no doubt about that. But I wouldn't just quickly, wave it off as an impossibility. I mean, I don't know. I understand the thing about it being a dream home is that I know it's not likely to happen, but I don't want to have to believe it could never happen or a million things would have to go differently in my life for it to become possible.
I mean,
really, if I just won the lottery, that'd be enough.
Okay, you got to stop saying that your answer to all of this is winning the lottery.
Well, it is one of my answers. What if I won the lottery?
You don't even buy lottery tickets.
I do sometimes.
Really? It's real low.
I get some scratchers or some tearaways.
Okay, you get some scratchers and tearaways. What's the top prize on a tearaway? $500?
Yeah, but I just honestly.
You know how you build this house? Someone's giving you the idea. You do cameos wishing people's mother-in-laws happy birthdays and well wishes. Then you
can build your dream house.
Then you can build your dream house.
No, I don't want to build my dream house on blood money.
Well,
so you're admitting
that it would be blood money?
I would be taking it because they believe it would be that. That's what
So
they
so
believe
what
they're
you're
paying
saying
for.
is that you on Cameo is the same as PGA players going to play on LIV.
Well, except PGA people playing on LIV are legitimately taking blood money.
But you just said that you would be.
Everybody involved in the transaction is aware of what they're doing.
I have a theoretical number in my head. If you charge $50 per Cameo, how much money you can make this year?
I mean, I would imagine there's probably like 50 people who would be interested.
Do you know how much money that is?
Well, 50 times 50 times 50 is 2,500.
There you go. I think there'd be more.
I can't imagine there'd be that many more.
You couldn't imagine that my kitchen renovation would cost as much money.
That
as it did.
seems an
Maybe you just don't know.
extraordinarily high amount of money. $79,000.
No, it was 97,000.
97,000. That's almost $100,000
That's good
for a
math.
stove and a fridge and a microwave and cable and countertops and moving an island. My gracious, that seems like such an exorbitant amount of money.
Stuff ain't cheap, pal.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm being told.
Why do you think the kitchen renovation hasn't started?
I can imagine, like, yeah, you do like a marble
See, I would do it.
counter,
I would find a way to do it for half that.
a marble countertop, stainless steel appliance, nice cupboards with good handles and hardware, and new hardwood floors or something. Yeah,
Well, if you're installing brand new hardwood floors, okay, now I can start to see where the prices are going up.
I mean, I'm not installing hardwood floor. I'd have some sort of tiling in my kitchen on a hardwood floor.
sure, but new floor. Like,
Yeah,
it's
the new floors are a part of that. We're
part
redoing our
of it,
kitchen.
yeah.
It's not keeping the same fucking floor.
Well, I don't know. The floor's fine. Leave the floor alone.
I mean, the kitchen is fine, but that's why we don't need to do it. But if we wanted to upgrade to a kitchen that we really wanted, not the one that we moved into, this is what it's going to cost.
Yeah, but I mean, floors to me aren't a part of the kitchen of my dreams. I couldn't really, as long as the floors aren't ugly and as long as they don't not match the color scheme and whatever, they're floors.
If you're gonna
So
be there a long time, you don't think you're moving, you think it's great, you just want to do the kitchen. I don't know, just make your dream kitchen.
Yeah, you're not going to spend all the
apparently I
money
can-
and not do it right. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Oh,
Well, Pat, you could do it yourself.
Yeah, easy.
you probably could
Simple
do
stuff.
some of it. You're incredibly skilled with that. You could YouTube stuff and figure it out. And I bet you'd have no trouble. I know you. You'd figure it out.
I am like the least handy person in the world.
No, that's not true. You're more resourceful than you give yourself credit for. How many people could take the window out of their car completely and then reinstall it so that it worked again? Again, not that many people. You were able to do it, no problem.
I pulled it up on YouTube. It took me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but most people wouldn't even dare to try that.
Most
figured it
people
out.
wouldn't know that you could YouTube this and they would walk you through how easy it is.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying you're more resourceful than you give yourself credit for.
Getting a window to start rolling up again in your car, big difference than renovating your kitchen.
Yeah, but what is it? What is a kitchen renovation? But a series of little tasks.
I want it done right. You know that, right?
Sure, but you have a high standard, so you do it right.
I don't have the skills to do that.
Oh, I think you could figure it out.
No, see, I don't. Your overestimation of people's skills, most definitely your own, are shocking.
I'm just saying. I think I could put drywall.
You see, like, again, just to kind of go back to it, it seems like you have very little respect for tradespeople.
I have
how hard
very
their
high
jobs are.
It's not just hard; it's that they have done it so many times that they know all of the sort of, the economically intelligent ways to do things. They have figured out the. My mind is blanking now on Adam Smith's term about when you do a task enough time, you figure out the smartest and fastest way to do something. They have all of those skills.
I mean, is that from the Wealth of Nations?
No, but he just wanted to coin that expression.
I think you're talking about the invisible hand, but that's when
No,
the invisible hand
no,
just
no.
gives you a beat.
No, that's not the division of labor. And once you understand the division of labor, you can master something very quickly. With
Can you
enough
tell us about
repetition.
your master bedroom in your dream home.
Okay, so first things first, it needs to be the size of like a tennis court. That's what I'm imagining in terms of size. Like the doubles tennis court. That's how big I want it to be. And I want it to have a massive walk-in closet with all, like enough room for my various wardrobes, for my summer wardrobe and my winter wardrobe. I hate having to put one wardrobe away and having to unpack a next every spring and fall. It is the worst. I don't wish to ever have to do that again. I wish there to be more than enough space for all of my things to be in a walk-in closet forever. So I want that. There has to be a really nice chair that I could use that's pointed towards a very big television that would be in the room. I would want there to be a big, nice, tasteful rug. I would like there to be blackout curtains. That way, if it's 8 o'clock at night and everyone's enjoying the sun in July, I can just close them and not have to worry about that. Big television.
What about the master, like the
ensuite?
bathroom?
An ensuite that has a rainfall shower. This is non-negotiable. A rainfall shower and one of those tubs that have the legs on them that are freestanding. I want one of those types of tubs that the rainfall shower falls into, and the curtain that goes all the way around the tub, like the old timey kind.
Like body sprays and
yeah, sure. And big mirror, granite countertop, a sink that goes into the granite countertop, one of those sinks that are like built into the countertop. I want that.
his and hers.
Sure. Although I actually would prefer one really massive big sink rather than the double.
Like a
sink.
stadium washroom.
Yeah,
A
sort of.
trough, if you will.
No, not a trough, but a big sink, and then really nice, really nice commode and appliances like that.
A bidet?
No, pass on that.
Oh no, bidets are great. You get a quick hole tickle, you feel great.
No, I'm not judging. I'm just saying
You
I
gotta
don't
talk
want
to
that in
Cam
my.
about the bidets.
I don't want it
my
in
son
dream
loves
home.
our bidet. It's fantastic. I love our
I'm
bidet.
just
too.
saying
I
don't.
loved the bidet as a little kid too. My mom tells me I'd love one now, to be honest.
They're fantastic. They're super cheap. You just hook them up to your toilet.
I'm sure you do. Great. I'm gonna pass on that. I think that's the dream bedroom. Is there anything I'm missing?
I don't know.
A lot of tasteful artwork too.
Yeah, okay. Of course, you got to have tasteful artwork. You said that your bedroom would be the size of a doubles tennis court. How much bigger would your ballroom be than your bedroom?
Probably two of them combined.
So it'd be two.
But you can
Okay.
use that for storage too, right?
Your ballroom is where you're using your storage.
I would use that as some storage as well. If I'm not having an event,
And
what
then
if you're having an
happens-
event? Where do you put all the stuff?
no, just put it in a different room where no one's going. Figure it out.
What happens when Belle shows up looking for her father?
That's not all right. All right.
So, based on what you've just told us, not about the ensuite or the walk-in closets, between your bedroom and ballroom, you've already sucked up 8,500 square feet.
Okay. Again, I don't know what that doesn't seem.
What
that
are you
big to me.
hosting?
That
Like,
doesn't
what-
seem that big. How big do you think my house is?
40,000 square feet, 20,000 square or 20,000 square feet.
You think my house is 20,000 square feet?
Sure. I don't know how big anything is.
Well, your bedroom and ballroom combined, put it this way, are almost 3 times the size of my entire house.
But I want really high ceilings.
So it needs to be even bigger. So
I want like 12-foot ceilings minimum.
So I want, if there's anyone out there who's a contractor or does budgeting for this kind of thing, based on what Tim has described in his dream home, of all the little things that he's just put in, we're going to call this, I don't know, 30,000 square feet, Geoff. Does that sound about right? With high ceilings.
Yeah, and I'm certain, like, it goes without saying, there's going to be like a screen, like a theater room in this house with state-of-the-art recliners and like a popcorn
In the living room.
machine in the
No,
corner. or
I don't know
something.
about that. Definitely a large TV room. But I mean, that a lot of people have living rooms like that.
Pool table, fancy, nice felt.
No, but
ivory
we have
walls.
heated driveways, indoor pool, and an auxiliary guest house, along with the 30,000 square foot home to begin with. So you've heard all the stuff. I would like to know what a budget would be for this house. I can't see it being anything less than $5 million.
Also, you know how much money it is to heat the driveway the size he is speaking of? He's not talking about the driveway in like our houses, Pat. He's talking about a huge circular driveway with a drive up and a gate.
Yeah, and maybe even has a name on it. Like, you know how people like to name their houses, like this, that, or the other, have some sort of name etched into it. That'd be really nice.
Ooh.
So what are you gonna do with like all the grass in the backyard?
Well, I could lay the sod myself.
No, but like
What?
there's no outdoor pool.
Oh, heavens no. There's no outdoor
A tennis
pool.
court? clearly.
No, nothing outdoors. Very little outdoor. We're not doing outdoor things. It's not an outdoors facility. Indoors is where things are. I don't have to worry about the fickleness of nature.
Not even a shuffleboard and a
There
nice
can be. I
little
want
canopy
there can
and
be a garden.
one
I'd like
of those
you know what I'd
canopies.
actually like is like a Victorian style garden that I can walk around through. Sort of like the ones you see at Versailles with those like those statues where the water shoots out of their mouths and all the various flowers and the vines and the hedges that are trimmed in neat little ways. Like I could take up gardening and figure out that. So yeah, so like a Victorian style garden outside that I could promenade in
Do you have
on
like
nice days.
you have not even a maid, but like there's a house manager?
No, I could do it myself. Yeah, and a guest house and a 3-car garage for sure, with enough room for me to be able to do my work in
And
there.
what are
in
your
terms of,
three?
like,
What are the
woodworking or-
dream cars?
I would like to have a Porsche Cayenne. I think those are gorgeous. I would
That's
like
so
to.
gross. Those are
Okay.
such loser cars.
I would like to have a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and I would like to have just like an everyday sort of getting you around sedan. Whatever. Those 2 cars, and then like a regular everyday sedan.
I don't understand why you would go to a Rolls Royce and a Porsche and not get like the good version of those cars. You get like the shitty soccer mom version.
You don't think the Phantom is a good version of the Rolls-Royce?
I mean, I don't think so. No,
Oh, that's like top of the line almost.
it's not top of the line though, is it? You said almost.
Yeah, well, it's not the most expensive one imaginable, but it's still, it's probably going to set you back $450,000.
Rolls Royce. Let's see what the price.
I can
is.
tell you what Rolls Royces cost. I might not know what a banana costs at the store or what a fridge costs at the bay, but I can tell you what a Rolls Royce costs.
Well, you
Okay,
like-
I thought the Phantom was the SUV model. No, this one is pretty legit, but the Cayenne's
Yeah.
terrible.
I think the Cayenne is a really
what's
sharp.
is the Cayenne the SUV also?
Is the Porsche
Yeah, it's
SUV?
the Porsche SUV.
No, the Phantom is not an SUV.
No, it's not. I got that wrong. So yes, just have the Phantom. Why do you need a shitty Porsche SUV?
I think it looks really cool,
It
and
doesn't.
also I'd
It
like
looks
to
like
have.
it's Geoff. What do you make of them? I think they look like crap.
You see a few around.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I think there's a reason you see a few around.
They're pretty popular here.
Soccer moms.
A lot of people.
Well, but Geoff, not everybody spends all our time on the bridle path like you do. Where, of
Hey.
course, Porsches would be very popular.
I don't go to the bridal path ever.
Except to live
Well,
in your
I'm
mansion.
glad that we got cut off last week talking about Wendy's because this provided the most like laugh-filled entertainment I've had in some time. I do want to hear about the LIV tour though before we get out of here. Can I read you this quote from Bubba Watson?
Sure. It's all lies.
Well, it's about how he signed up with Liz. You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
Well, here's what he said. My 10-year-old son was sitting in bed with me after my surgery, and we were watching golf on the TV, and he knew the aces. Everybody knows the aces. They keep winning. He knew the aces. He knew the stingers. He didn't know the individual names. He just knew the team names. And for a 10-year-old to never watch the game of golf, but now he watches it, now I knew that there was a product to be had. LIV has a niche. It has for a reason. My son is used to the Yankees. He's used to the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. He's used to watching teams. And the one thing that golf, high school has a team, college has a team. And then one of the biggest events in the world is the Ryder Cup, a team event. Now that professional golf has teams, we're going to get the below 60-year-olds watching Golf Channel, the 10-year-olds wanting to watch. Dallas Cowboys and the 4 aces. Same thing.
Do you want to start, Geoff?
Well, you're really heated, so I'll just.
Oh, okay. It's all lies. Every word of it is a lie.
It's all a lie in the sense
Just
that
admit you don't care that you're taking blood money. You wanted to take the money. You don't care that you took the money. You wanted the money and you took it. At least Dustin Johnson is honest about what he did. He shook hands with the devil and took the money. Okay. Like, then fine. You took it and you don't have to defend it and talk about how, oh, well, I really wanted to be a part of this team that no one in the world knows anything about. What did they win? What did they win when the 4 aces won the LIV championship? They just won money. They didn't win anything. And again, nobody's ever heard of the Stingers. Like the stinger is that thing Mo used to have when he boxed with barbed wire on his glove. That was the stinger. No one's ever heard of the stingers. Again, and you use your 10-year-old child as cover for the reason that you decided to take all this money from Saudi Arabia. It's just terrible. Just admit you don't care and you took the money.
See, that was for me. Because even Reed last year saying it's all just to spend more time at home, and then his schedule is like 6 crazy straight weeks on the road that he doesn't have to take part in, using his children as shields for this thing. It is unequivocally a lie. I'm not as angry as Tim is, but the very first LIV event had this Dennis Quaid narrated intro, and it featured Bubba Watson. If people recall, we're like, Bubba's not signed with LIV. This is really weird, but it can only probably mean one thing. So what a coincidence that Bubba's son knew some things about LIV like weeks, months after he'd been featured in a LIV commercial that he wasn't supposed to be in, and subsequently ended up being a member of LIV. This one thing, I will tell you one thing, Mr. Bubba, is this under 60-year-old crowd, this young person, this 20-year-old or these young people you want to get into golf, which is great. And it's great seeing people find golf in new places, as simple as just going to Top Golf or these new fancy mini putts, what have you. That is great. But no one is better at knowing when they're being pandered to than the younger generation. They're incredibly social media savvy. They know what's authentic, and they know when they're being pandered to. And that was as pathetic as it's been.
Do you agree? It's just all lies.
Tim, can you name the 4 members of Stinger GC?
I've got the slightest clue.
Is that the South African team?
It is. Geoff knows.
Okay, well then that would have who? I guess it would have Louis.
Yeah, he's the captain.
And it would have
Charles.
Yeah, Schwartzel, who won the first LIV event.
Brendan Grace.
Brendan Grace, and who's
Sean
the other
Norris
person?
Or Harding?
It's Henny Duplessis.
Duplessis.
But
you guys all agree with me that Bubba's just up there lying, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, man, they're the Chiefs. They're the Cowboys. The Yankees.
Yeah. What team is Bubba
I like
on,
the problem is I liked Bubba. I don't know why Bubba I'm just disappointed. Like, don't do this, Bubba. Like, Geoff's right. Like, don't BS the younger generation. Say no. Just be honest. The money is. I'm getting older. My skills are diminishing, and the money is extraordinarily tempting, and so I took it.
Unfortunately, sorry.
Yeah, just be honest.
Unfortunately, and Pat kind of pointed this out yesterday, you can have your debates on LIV or not, and the weekend showed us that tours and leagues and teams, it's about different personalities. We don't want a league full of the same people or a tour filled with the same guy. It's all about different personalities, and maybe it's very strategic. I mean, I'd argue the strategy was just getting anybody who seems to have a green jacket, no matter when they acquired it. But LIV has gotten the personalities in golf. Like, Bubba's on a short list of players who actually that are well known, that have personality, and from Bryson to Brooks and Reed
Poulter.
And Phil,
I hear rumors of Anthony Kim.
No,
that's different.
That's a lie. But so they've gotten these personalities, and to the other points is they're sort of anchored by guys like Cam Smith and DJ, who we have in some way, because they haven't complained and they don't say things, and they've just taken the money for their own reasons, and it makes sense for both of them. They're the anchors of this thing, but they've taken the personalities away from the PGA Tour, and that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And that's why it was fun to watch the DP this weekend. I went back and finally watched all that final round. Like, to see Reed make that charge, then Rory have to respond, it was awesome.
I think I enjoyed more like Phil acting like the old guys from the Muppets, standing up in the balcony and heckling people, which apparently is his job now on LIV, is just to heckle people.
I like
how they're, I mean, like, Phil's one to talk about how people are dressed.
You love Phil. You
I
picked him
do.
to win the Masters this year.
And Phil, in this presser, Phil says he's back to Kiowa form. Okay, we'll see. I hope so. Like,
What else did you get from the presser? Because I assure you, I did not read it.
I'm press conference obsessed. I didn't really know this thing was happening until Tim showed me these Bubba tweets that had him up a wall today.
and that Brooks didn't know where the majors were this year. Raise your hand if you believe that.
He's
Do you believe that, Jeffrey? Do you believe he's being honest? Like, well, man, I don't know where the majors are. I don't know. I'm so cool. I'm Brooks.
I don't know what to believe there. All I know is it's fun. Like that Reed Rory thing was fun, and the majors I think saw how people reacted to a tee falling out of a guy's pocket, and they're like, "We want this smoke." Like people
Maybe,
like
but
us already.
Augusta does, and it doesn't want some of this stuff.
Oh,
Like,
they want it.
Augusta doesn't want ugliness.
They don't want ugliness, but they want this though. Like this is real drama, along with what goes on the course. Like this is what we talked about from the very beginning. That
Well,
there is
but
a
wasn't
there is
that
a
because
wrestling
Rory
aspect
had
to
like
it.
someone on Christmas Eve show up to his house or something
Yeah,
with a summons?
yeah,
Like, come on, man. What are we doing here?
it's great. Someone to root.
Why is
against.
Patrick Reed suing people? He just
Why-
made
why?
100.
I
What do
think
you
the
mean all this
question is,
money?
why aren't you suing people? It sounds like a great strategy.
I don't understand it. Like, you took your money, be happy with your money. Go play your golf that nobody cares about and enjoy life.
A summons showed up to Reed's house the same way Netflix told you they're suing you in your inbox, buddy.
All right. The thing about LIV is that the only uninteresting part of it is the golf.
That is
Everything about LIV is very interesting, except the actual LIV events, which are unwatchable trash.
Jeff, I told you the answer to that. Just don't actually play the golf.
No one would notice.
I mean, it's hard to argue that point. And I have even somebody who's acknowledged this year when LIV is like last year, strategically up against the worst field events the PGA can offer. I'm excited to watch Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, Neiman, Brooks, Bryson. Like, I'll watch that. I've already acknowledged they'll have, I don't know who, like if I'm part of their target, because I'll watch any golf on.
But
TV.
it's the same stuff again. Is it like 54 holes, shotgun start?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, I'm not here to respect the tournament, and I'm not here to even say I'll watch on Friday. But if you're telling me that Dustin and Cam and two of these guys are battling, like Dustin Johnson's hitting shots, I want to.
but they're not battling for anything, Jeff. That'd be
Okay.
different, right? But the thing is, there's nothing at stake except for money. And what the hell do you care? What the
they're
hell do
trying
you
to
care how much
win.
money
Like, what
they
the
make?
fuck do we care about why do we have to tune into if it's going head to head with like the Byron Nelson?
Well, at
And
least
no
that's
one's
a
playing at the
PGA
Byron
Tour
Nelson
event.
What's
And,
that?
No, and
at
I
least
can
that's a
respect-
PGA Tour event that you're actually
And
winning.
I'll
Okay,
enjoy-
but why don't you give a shit about the Corn Ferry then? It's the same shit.
Well, it's a second. It's
Not
again,
really,
not a.
'cause
See, you say it's second rate, but honestly, in the weeks that Jeff is talking about, the PGA this week is second rate in golf.
Yes, but it's still the PGA. It's still a PGA win. It still means something. Winning a LIV event isn't.
Well, it's not even a
thing.
live event this week. It's an Asian tour event.
Well, no,
Just
I'm
with
not
all the
talking
live
about
guys
the
in it.
Well,
Okay,
that's
to Tim's
whatever.
point, like obviously the better players will be playing on LIV in the weeks I'm speaking of. But as a PGA, as a golf fan, I would be entertained by the most random Justin Sue versus Taylor Moore finish, because I know, like, oh my God, these two guys are playing for their first win. Even if the field is shitty, it gets them into the Masters. It could be, it's a launching pad. When I'm saying I would sit there and watch LIV, it's the same as like people just leave Golf Channel on all day watching shitty people, giving people just do instructions. Like, I'm not watching Dustin Johnson to see him win something prestigious. I'm watching Dustin Johnson because he's swinging a golf club and there's live video of it that I can put on my TV. Same with watching Cam Smith or even Phil. I'll watch Phil hit this chip. Like, I can still enjoy that, even though realizing they're not really competing for anything. Like, I can acknowledge all of that.
It's like Costanza's pitch to Jerry when they're trying to sell Jerry, the pilot. It's like, why am I watching this? Because it's on TV.
And NBC didn't pick up the show, like, to finish the analogy. Like, it didn't work.
Well, they ended up picking up the show. And then they all got put in jail.
Yes. Thanks for ruining the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Spoiler
That
alert.
classic ending everyone loved.
Hot take. It wasn't as bad as people say, even though it wasn't
I
great.
agree. Like it was
It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was all right.
all right. I think is that it? Do you guys got anything else?
We didn't talk about the Super Bowl at all. I guess we can save that for 2 weeks
Yeah,
from now.
we're doing an entire Super Bowl show next week. So
Do you have an early lean or thought?
My
I just
only
wanna
my early lean is towards the Eagles. They're just
you in the world.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, okay. I get it. I am sort of square
People
on
are
that.
making a really, and maybe it's fair or not, but yeah, people are just, I don't know whether it's mad Bengal bettors that just wanted to bet the Eagles instantly, or people that are on the other side that are, the Eagles don't even have a signature win crowd. It's, I don't know. There's a lot.
I get it. If I knew Mahomes was going to be healthy, I'd probably pick the Chiefs, but I know he's not going to be, so it's hard to pick him. And the
See,
Eagles are
I'm-
such a complete team.
I'm not too concerned about Mahomes, even if he is as healthy as and he should be healthier than he was against the Bengals, given 2 weeks off. Just the rest of the team, like there's only so many guys that you can lose.
And Philly will control both lines of scrimmage. And when that happens, like we saw what happened when they played Tampa in the Super Bowl when they couldn't control the line of scrimmage. Like Mahomes is not enough to save you when you can't control the lines.
The only thing I worry about is I thought Philadelphia's offense looked bad against San Francisco.
I agree. I wasn't impressed by them in that game. I thought they did, but at some point I think they realized they could pull the shoot. That they didn't have to do anything because like San Francisco wasn't going to score.
Yeah, it felt like, hey, let's run the don't get hurt offense.
Yeah. So
And
we'll see.
I could be wrong. I think the books, and it's fair that I think people are really, which in a Super Bowl could be rare. The expectation is going to be for a heavy Philly crowd, heavy Philly crowd.
I can see it. Look, Philadelphia has 0 injuries to their starting roster right now. That's huge.
Although
Never
Lane
happened.
Johnson doesn't look 100%.
I mean, he didn't give up a sack in that game. No
I know.
pressures.
I'm just saying. I still don't think he's 100%. We'll see. But
No,
you're right.
you said he didn't look 100%.
No, like I mean,
So to your eyes, he didn't look
wincing or whatever.
100% to you?
I hope he is. I really don't care who wins this game. I don't really love either team. I don't hate either team. It's like I just hope it's a good game. It should be an entertaining Super Bowl. I just think the Eagles should, and they are. They're 1.5 point favorites now. I think that's a very fair line. It's probably where it should be.
All right. They'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Back on Wednesday with Tambo in studio to run through the DraftKings golf picks. I'm still trying to reel in Cam. He does not need emergency surgery, but he still needs to get back on me. He might have to go to the doctor that way anyway. If not, probably run a best of that day for this Thursday. Then get back at it next week with our gold picks and silver picks for everything. And we'll be back with this show next week as well, trying to piece it together during the off week as always. So I want to thank Paul for getting this together as I wasn't able to leave my house. Geoff, the coin who's on vacation right now, and Tim Undercust.
That's not my name. You're not going to Arizona for Radio Row?
I'm not, no. Thanks for bringing that up, piece of shit.
I
Why?
don't get. Do you want to be?
No, I wanted to go for the golf.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I forgot about the golf.
we'd spoken. Of, yeah,
Forgot about the golf.
Thanks.
that sports book was ready. Been there.
We would have been there, but yeah, it's not. It's disappointing. We would have had the box on 16. I would
The
have
good
told
thing
Tim
is
Tim could
Phoenix
have stayed
is
outside.
Phoenix is in the rotation of Super Bowl sites, so this will come back around again. This is not a Minnesota or a Detroit one-off. But Phoenix is in the rotation.
I don't think you know how contracts work, Tim, as it pertains to Pat Mayo and DraftKings.
All right, fine.
Next year's in Vegas.
True. That's close to Phoenix, isn't it?
No, I'm just nothing to do with Phoenix. Just saying, next year the Super Bowl's in Vegas.
Yes, it is.
Pat,
May have to be
Pat,
there.
are you still going to have your DraftKings deal when it's back in Phoenix in 7 years from now?
Look, I'm a moron, okay?
Oh no, you're just someone who thinks they can spend $50,000 to build a $5 million home.
Well, we'll see what the contractors say about this.
And I want a real price and of paying for everything here. So explain yourself. I want to show the work, see the shown work on this. And I'm guessing most people will be putting it into US prices, whereas we know for you, you're talking about Canadian prices.
Yeah, sure. But if it's US prices, we can just do the quick math.
And we'll go middle of the line appliances, you said?
Yeah, middle.
No, we can't go middle of the line appliances on a home that you're spending $5 million on. That's fucking ridiculous.
It's true. That'll hurt the resale. Someone wanted to
There
buy
is no
that.
resale. There is no resale. I'll be buried in that place.
So you're going to have a cemetery or what do you call a mausoleum there too?
Oh, yes. Yes. I want that little home could be turned into a mausoleum afterwards.
Little home? It's the size
Like-
of a fucking warehouse.
No, the outdoor pool house.
Oh, your pool house. Sorry.
yeah. Which doesn't have a pool because the pool's
Can
in.
I be your Cato Kalin?
Leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. Tell some friends, smash like, sub to the channel, and use runthesims.com free now up and through the Super Bowl. So run all your projections. All right, get it out of your system now for the XFL and USFL start, where we start really printing the money. But that's going to cost you. /Mayo to always get a discount, by the way, at runthesims.com. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!